Ah, well, looks like everything works. Yep, I'm terrible at this. Is anybody even here yet? I love when nobody turns up to my shows. Then I don't have to worry about stuff being broken. Okay, guys, hello? My name is Buildzoid. Um, and I'm the guy behind Actually Hardcore Overclocking, which you can down here, right? So that's my blog. And of course, you're not interested in me, you're interested in what I'm going to be doing today, which is overclocking an R7 260X, a very special R7 260X. I said it's the fastest R7 260X. I've done it once in Unigine. I'm going to do it again today with 3D Mark 11, Vantage, and Firestrike. Now, unfortunately, due to some issues with my internet before the stream, I didn't manage to get Firestrike installed. So, assuming we don't run out of time, I'm going to do Firestrike as well. Or if enough of you are interested in doing Firestrike and yell at me in the chat enough, then I'll also do Firestrike. Other than that, right, let's get to the card. You to come with me, tripod. Sorry about all the terrible camera work that you'll be experiencing during this video. I don't have a cameraman, and also this tripod's too short. I'm 197, this tripod is 166 centimeters. So let's get over to the card. I really should figure out how to do this better. Anyway, let's look at this. So, actually no, I'll just do it standing. Sorry about this, I'm, like, you know, not the best streamer ever. Ow. Here we go. So, here's the card in question that I'm going to be... This is really hard to hold like this. Sorry. There, I haven't dropped it yet. So here's the R7 260X. It's a Gigabyte R7 260X. Nothing too special about it. Basically, when I was choosing this card, it was a case of I need the cheapest card with the best VRM. And among the R7 260Xs, they are all based on the AMD reference design. Oh, we got some viewers. Hello, viewers. I've already started. Okay. It's so weird. It's just like you have this thing. Sorry, the whole new to streaming thing, but just this thing where it's like, oh, there's viewers on the stream over there on the monitor saying hi to them. Yeah, no, so back to the card. Sorry for getting sidetracked so much. So this is an R7 260X from Gigabyte. It's a very, very unremarkable R7 260X. Really, it's reference PCB. The only major difference between this and most other R7 260Xs you would find in a store is that this one has a fully featured VRM, whereas some of them don't. Which was really important to me that I get a full-size VRM on the R7 260X, because without the full-size VRM, what I'm doing today could have very easily killed the card. So let's just take a look at the actual card here. So the heatsink on there, that's not reference. The reference was just a block of aluminum. I went and took a Gelid Slim Hero, which is a CPU cooler, and zip tied it to the card, which worked out great. The card runs in the 50s when not overvolting, and with the overvoltage it runs up to, I think, 70 degrees, but that's at like 1.5 volts almost. Core voltage, that's like insane. Like you have cards dying at that point. A lot of low-end NVIDIAs would be straight up dead. Not the core, but the VRM would be straight up dead. So yeah, so that's the heatsink. Now I also replaced the fan, which if you read the blog post on my blog, then you would know that I replaced the fan. So originally the Gelid Slim Hero comes with a 1600 RPM slim profile fan, because, you know, it's a slim CPU cooler supposed to fit in ITX cases. I don't do slim, and I certainly don't do quiet. So this is a 2.4K noise blocker E-loop. This is not my favorite 2400 RPM fan. It's just the one I had lying around. It has a rather high-pitched whine. However, it does push a ton of air. It's basically as good as a Cooler Master, Thrust Master, or Blade Master, whatever they're called. You know, the really loud ones that Cooler Master have. They're in black, and they're cheap. Not the Jet Flows, the cheaper ones. So yeah, it's very similar in performance to those, just slightly worse, and slightly quieter, but again, higher pitched noise, so it doesn't sound that great. But yeah, this should make the cooler even better than usual, so that's great. And then let's go over to the electrical. And then there's a 70 millimeter fan from an AMD stock heatsink just sitting over the VRM because I just have this. Wait, as I've just gotten more and more into overclocking, here you have the VRM heatsink. I've just basically made this rule that I'm just going to put a heatsink on every fan over every VRM heatsink I find because it just gives you so much more gain, especially on like AMD motherboards, cheap ones. You put that fan over that heatsink and you can hit it makes a massive difference. Like the motherboard is not going to die while you're overclocking, so that's nice. So fan on here too. It's not really necessary. I'm pretty sure I did the whole last live stream without the fan, but hey, it doesn't get loud and it's fine, and it'll help the card when we really push that voltage. So now let's get to the volt mods. So this is just your usual mess of volt modding wizardry, and it's not really that complicated. Basically, the VRM controllers have a sense pin, which senses core voltage, and if you mess with the resistance, it uses a resistance. Then if you lower the resistance across that pin to ground, then it basically overvolts, which is great. So basically, I have two potentiometers hooked up to work as variable resistors. And here we have a 250K, and this one controls VRAM, this big one. This little one controls VCore. This one's 22 kilo ohm. Basically, it starts at 1.3 volts and goes up to basically anything because I don't have a limiting resistor on this one. This one this one slides around a lot faster. Like this one's much harder to twist. So I was worried with this one that I would fry the card if I twisted it too fast. So this one has a 56 kilo ohm limiting resistor. It starts at about 1.67 volts, which is about 10 millivolts above stock R7260X VRAM voltage. And basically it goes up to 1.85. And that's when the 56 kilo ohm stops you, because you drop this to 0 and you're still at 56 kilo ohms. So that's the safety on the card. Right, and then we have these wires here. These are ended in crocodile clips, and these are for the multimeter, which I use when overclocking. And basically, they're both hooked up to the positive leg of the capacitors on each VRM. So this one is for memory, and it goes to the, wait, I'm going to try to show you. This is going to be awkward without, yeah. So you see these capacitors, it just hooks up to the positive leg of those. And the other one does the same thing, but for the other crocodile does the same thing, but for VCore. So that gives you your voltage control. And finally, there's a little dip switch right next to the, there's a little dip switch, and that allows me to switch on and off the volt mods, because I do use this card as a gaming card when I'm not using it for this kind of stuff. So, yeah, and then the VRM is just a 4+1+1 phase design. That's the only other design you can get on an R7260X is a 3+1+1. You have 4 phases for core voltage. Those do about 120 or 160 amps. I can't remember. The last time I checked the specs for this VRM was like last year when I was doing the volt mods. Then the next phase is for voltage auxiliary, which isn't a voltage I have volt modded on here because it's only used in liquid nitrogen runs, and it helps with black screening issues that AMD cards occasionally get when you really cool them down. Then you usually have to run that voltage around 1.3, but on air cooling it doesn't do anything. So I just left that stock. And then there's of course the VRAM VRM, which is also a one phase. I have no idea how much current it can pass, but you know, VRAM doesn't use all that much power, so I just ignored anything to do with that. So yeah, actually that might be also a 30 amp. I'm not sure. Again, last time I checked the VRMs on this thing was ages ago. So that's the card. And last stream was all about basically just overclocking the card. This stream I'm going to look more into RAM and CPU because we're doing 3D Mark. And 3D Mark, if you ever ran 3D Mark, you know there's a physics stage. Which brings us to the machine we're going to be benching on, which is this. So this is my, not the laptop, this thing. Doesn't even look like a computer. So this is my daily driver PC. I use it all the time, but I also do all my benchmarking on it, which is why it's a test bench and why it's underwater. So here we have a 5 GHz 3960X. I pushed the chip up to 5.3 gigahertz when I was trying to get a really, like, my high score for Signbench. That worked out great, but since then I've learned how to tweak Signbench better, so, but the chip's basically gone. Like, this 3960X is on its very last legs. The card I'm currently taking out of the system is my R9290X, also a gigabyte card. The Windforce cooler is sitting somewhere in the office, well, not really office, in the basement here. And I mounted a Cooler Master Sadon 120V V2 to this, and that keeps the core temperatures really low. Like, it stays sub 70 degrees, and it's like 28 degrees centigrade here right now. So yeah, it's summer here. And it's getting night, so the temperature might go down. So that might help with overclocking later. And there we go. So that's the card out. Now let's get that R7260X in. There's a minor bug on this computer that shows up every so often when I swap the graphics cards around too much, because there's like 3 graphics cards that have been run in this computer. This card, the R7260X, and the, what else? I've run a 5850 in it, and I've run a 590 and an HD 7970 and a 290 and just like crap ton of graphics cards have gone through this machine. I used to run the 290 and the 290X in Crossfire, but then I sold the 290 because I just don't play enough games to need it, and my monitor isn't enough. And if I could just get this fit. There we go. Right, so ideally, Windows will pick up the card immediately. Otherwise, I'm going to have to reinstall the drivers, which happens if you keep swapping out graphics cards over and over and over and over again. Then Windows just craps out and decides to not recognize one of them. There, so that's the fans hooked up, power hooked up, volt mods are disabled, and they're all at 0. Cards mounted proper. Okay, so let's get this hooked up and started. Get the show on the road. What bloody HDMI cable? Damn it, I'm gonna break this cable. Oh, don't tell me I trapped it under something. No, I didn't. Ah, this is so... What on earth is wrong with that freaking cable? This is strange. This is really odd. I haven't had that happen in a long time. Let's see, if I pull this one forward, I can push this back. I need longer cables. There, that should be fine. Right, screws. Let's just get this secured in there, since I'm not going to be dismounting it for the... Oh, no. You know what? I'm just gonna move it one slot down. I just can't be bothered today. Hopefully it'll work. This makes even more issues. Like, this motherboard and the processor have been just through so much that everything is just broken at this point. Like, the memory controller on the processor is like shot. Like, that's gonna die first in maybe a year. I'm gonna have to get a whole new system. Other than that, so let's just disable some PCIe slots and start this thing up. And hopefully it'll just start. But last time I tried streaming, it was terrible and it didn't actually start up. And it doesn't want to start. So let's see, DRAM. That's what I said when I said, that's what I meant when I said the memory controller is dead. That little LED right here, that's DRAM error notification for the Rampage 4 Extreme that I'm running, and that just happens all the freaking time. You know, I bet if I move the card one slot back up, it'll work. Which doesn't make any sense because it's a DRAM error, but you know, that's what you get when your CPU is basically dead. But it still runs 5 gigahertz, and it'll still run, it still runs 5 gigahertz 24/7. It's just that every so often I need to mess around with the settings because it gets too warm or it gets too cold or something, like the weather changes, the pressure changes, and everything craps out again. It's become super sensitive. It's like one of those old people who it's like, oh, I can feel the rain coming in my joints. So that's this computer. I can feel the internet. No, not even the internet, just... Damn it, just gonna... How does this cable not reach? Like, mysteries of my cable management. Cable reached 30 minutes ago, now it doesn't. Please start up this time. I don't want to bore you all to death. Oh well, boredom to death it is. Sorry about this. Sorry about everything else you'll have to go through during the stream. Hey, at the end of it all, you might get to see a really, really fast R726CX. There. So that's the DRAM error solved. So, actually, this doesn't even matter because I wanted to do RAM overclocking for a bit. So I'm going to have to get rid of those sticks anyway. Okay, well the computer starts up, so that's good to know. Let's just turn it off again. So right, RAM overclocking. Because I did the graphics card last time, and there's really not that much to GPU overclocking, and I thought I might as well make this video educational in some way. Well, not this video, this stream. So, I'm going to show you how to overclock RAM. Now this I have no idea what make it is. This is like Hynix or Samsung, I don't know. I think it's Hynix. It doesn't clock that well. It does 2400 CL10, and I think it's like a BFR kit, maybe MFR, I don't know. Those are IC names. However, I do have a really, really nice, and I'll swap the BIOSes. Oh wait, that's what... Oh, don't... Which ones? Oh... That explains everything. I must have accidentally hit the BIOS button when I was, like, installing the card. So that's what happened. That's why it wasn't starting. Different RAM profiles. But anyway, I have a different kit of RAM. And so that was a 16 gig kit. These sticks, these are... They look almost the same except they're blue. These are 2 gig sticks, and these are probably PSC. I'm actually like 90% sure these are PSC, which if you don't know what that is, that's a memory IC. It's basically famous for breaking all the Super Pi records. The only other, like back before the Samsung RAM came out, because these can run like CL10 at, no, CL6 at 2800 megahertz clock. Now, you need liquid nitrogen for that, but even on air, they can hit like 2666, 8, 12, 8. Now, these can't. These are bad. But if you have a good bin, you can. And actually, I don't know if these can because I don't have a CPU that has a memory controller good enough to get that high. Yeah, that's in place. We're on BIOS 2. Reset the BIOS again. There. That's going to flip out the RAMs. Okay, so let's get over to the BIOS screen, which will be down here. And it's starting. So yeah. So I use a really, really old ROG BIOS. This is like release day BIOS because basically I found out this BIOS works the best for me. I don't know why. Most people would tell you to BIOS update, and I tried it. Everything got worse. So I run the most ancient ROG BIOS there is. Let's get out of that and let's start overclocking. So first of all, put this into XMP. And this RAM has really, really low timings right off the bat. So that's 7, 8, 7, 24, 2, and really tight, which basically tells you that it's a PSC kit and it runs pretty low voltage. I think, yeah, it defaults to 1.6. So for RAM overclocking on Sandy Bridge, you just want to run 1.75 if you're benchmarking. And here's the crapped out memory controller, so 1.25 there, 1.2 here, 1.15 there. Basically it won't start if I don't do that, so that's why I'm doing that. 485, drop that down to -2. Let's configure the power control. So ultra high. This gives me voltage boost under load, which is great for the physics test, because if the core voltage is a little too low, then it'll go up. Manual 750, and that's switching frequency. Basically, that lowers VRM noise, and it lowers ripple, right? So it gives you cleaner power and less ripple power. This is V-core MOS voltage. So as far as I can tell, this is just the setting that is used to switch the voltage that is fed to the MOSFETs to turn them on and off. And the higher this voltage, the better. Basically, they switch on faster, they're cleaner, and they have less, and basically if they switch on faster, you have less loss on them. So yeah, keep that on and put that into extreme. High, 140, and put this up to 550, otherwise it won't start again. That, yeah, that's basically, keep that normal, and let's put that VRAM at maximum. RAM at maximum. And basically, why am I tweaking this? RAM, when you're benching 3D, especially if you're getting really high FPS, then RAM is actually really important because of the latency it adds to your CPU. So while CPU overclocking for usual 3D gaming doesn't help in benchmarking, like 3D Mark and stuff, it is useful. And so we'll just start this up to make sure that it works at these settings. I'm not going to raise the frequencies yet. Which reminds me, I need to change the... there. 100 strap, clock gen, disable, turbo ratio by all cores, and I think... by all cores, so we're just going to run 5 gigahertz. It should just start up. If it doesn't, then I've screwed up again. Extreme tweaking enabled. This just is a setting exclusive to ROG motherboards and some Asus boards. I'm not sure how many motherboards have it. I think also Gigabyte has it on their motherboards too. And basically it just gives you higher scores in benchmarks at the cost of stability or something. I haven't noticed any decrease in stability, but it basically just helps benchmarks. Right, so we just run everything like this. And I should have these at -2. And these are again just like settings that I need to change to get this to even just start. So that's everything set up. Let's restart the system. Hopefully it'll boot right up, and then we're going to start pulling the RAM up. Well, it started, so that's good. And no errors. Yep, okay, we're in the BIOS. By the way, if you want to drop any questions in the chat, then you can, about what I'm doing, about other overclocking, just really anything, you can ask away. I mean, if you're bored, why would I keep you here? So I know this does up to 2400 on certain timings, so let's see. Let's go 10, 12, 10. And I'm just going to start kind of loose with the timing and just leave everything else on auto. These, the ROG motherboards are really good at RAM. Some other motherboards are just like, don't even try to overclock RAM because it's going to, like you go 100 megahertz up and it doesn't know what to do with your timings. And then you just like, and some motherboards, especially the motherboards that don't know what to do with your timings, many times won't even have access to your timings. So that puts you in a bad spot, doesn't it? And it booted right up. So yeah, this is basically, let's tighten this. My CPU basically can't go over 2400. It can go, I think, 2450, but I'm not going to push it there because, again, the memory controller is basically shot. So I don't want to risk actually killing the memory controller on this. And yeah, these are kind of loose right now, and I'll manually tighten them afterwards. Though this is still tighter than most other RAM you can get. Let's save these changes and reset and continue on with the RAM overclocking. And hopefully once I get the RAM to where I want to, we'll just go straight for the 3D marks. And you'll get to see the card in action. And really there's not much to see with the card. And that's a RAM error. Oh, come on. So what happened here is probably I set the, like, I don't remember RAM timing names. You're going to have to forgive me that. I've just never, like, I just remember, wait. Typing with one hand and tuning the BIOS with another hand is really hard. Right, so how much does RAM overclocking help in 3D Mark? A little bit. It's not really that much. It might be like 1 or 2%, but it's like if you're doing competitive, there's like, no, I don't want to load any profiles. If you're doing competitive overclocking, there's no reason not to overclock your RAM. And plus, I also plan to maybe do Super Pi after we do 3D Mark, and I don't feel like restarting the system in between. So what I think happened here was, so you see DRAM cast latency, RAS to cast delay, RAS to pre-time, RAS act time. So DRAM RAS act time, which I'm pretty sure is an ASUS only naming scheme, normally it should be just the 3 timings above it added up, especially for PSC. That generally always works. And mine was 28, so that's why I'm guessing it didn't boot up. So I'm just going to set it to 30 and hope for the best. And actually I'm going to loosen this one as well. So 9, 12, 10, 31 timings. This should start. I mean, we're at 1.75. I might have to give it 1.7, like more. But okay, this seems to be starting up. Yep, okay, this just started right up. That's good. There. So let's keep pulling those RAM timings down. And you just do this. If you were doing this for 24/7, first of all, why are you tuning your RAM for 24/7 unless you have an AMD APU? And if you do have an AMD APU, don't do it like, do this, and then what you go is you go into your operating system, you see if it's stable in something like Super Pi, Hyper Pi. Actually, Hyper Pi is better because that stresses all your cores. So you hit it with Hyper Pi or IBT or something. You just get something really, really RAM intensive. You want something that uses your RAM a lot and has error checking, because if you have bad RAM, it'll just spit out errors like crazy. Like, it causes a lot of problems that you wouldn't guess are caused by your RAM. Alright, so that booted right up. And I want to do CL8 at 2400. Now, I'm not sure this is going to start, but let's hope for the best. And, okay, that looks like it won't. I might have to give it more voltage. So, yeah, okay, that's not booting up. Quick system restart. And basically, with RAM timings, is you go and then you stress test the RAM in the operating system, and if it fails, you just raise them. And don't usually go above certain voltages. So for 24/7 on pretty much any system, don't go above 1.7. And on AMD APUs, you actually don't want to go above, yeah, 1.7. But like, say if you're benchmarking, Ivy Bridge and Haswell and Sandy Bridge, they all go to like 1.85 or 1.9 in the case of Haswell. Haswell's memory controller is amazing. It's a tank. You can't break it. It goes up to 1.9 volts safely on air. For benchmarking, not for daily usage. For benchmarking, you can go up to 1.9. And basically, it won't die at that voltage, which is nice. Let's try further boundaries. And I'm going to give it a little bit more voltage. Let's give it that 1.77. Save changes and reset. And right now, I think it'll be at like 1.8. And it looks like it won't start. So yeah, this is just a kind of below average PSC memory kit. And so I'm not going to bore you any longer with RAM overclocking theory and anything, and let's get to the actual graphics card, because that's actually kind of fun to watch. Oh, come. Okay, it did train. Good. I think I can do 9-11-9, which would be pretty good. Because it does 9-12-9, 9-11-9, close enough. It doesn't do CL8, which is too bad. Then again, be too lucky for somebody like me. So let's just put it back down, because obviously the extra voltage didn't do anything. Put this up, this down. Keep this the way it is. And actually, I could have just done that. Couldn't I? Alright, I lowered this. That could have been it. Because, like, the 4 sticks, and usually you should be able to run 1.1T, but smidge more voltage. Hopefully it'll start. RAM tuning is like, I thought this would be more fun, honestly, when I was thinking about what to do, but I should have done this before the stream. So sorry about this. Yeah, okay, this is not going to start again. So yeah, there's no way I'm getting this RAM higher. And now for the actual card. Now actually for the actual card. No more RAM. I just need to set it up to work now. So I'm just going to raise it back up. Alright, and then I'll, like, once we actually get to benchmarks, this is a lot more interesting. I didn't figure the whole benchmark tune, that actually works well. There, let's get into BIOS. Quickly get this stuff working again. There. Get out. Down, down. Change it and reset. And I know these settings work, so. They do. Good. So, why did the system stop? Okay, it's good. RAM tuning is like the most iffy stuff with overclocking. You get all kinds of weird behavior from your computer when you're tuning RAM. Please start. Oh, come on! Okay, so that failed again. So any other questions, interests? You know what, I'm going to ask a question here. How many people watching the stream want to see a R7 260X at 1.5 gigahertz? Bloody BIOS! There. Okay, now it's actually doing something, so that might actually start. And no, it won't. Why do I even try? Now, if you weren't here for the last stream, you don't know that last stream I couldn't even get the bloody system to boot Windows. So actually, this stream's worse than last stream, because I spent this same amount of time trying to just get into Windows. Oh, well, at least now I'm going to quickly run through the RAM and be done with it. Stupid BIOS. Well, stupid RAM sticks. Honestly, if like you're buying RAM for overclocking and you don't want to bin a ton of ICs, just buy Crucial. Like, just buy Crucial RAM, because that stuff is, like, guaranteed. Well, not guaranteed, but most of those stakes will do 2000 megahertz 888. And if you do 2888 is really cool. So, like, that's a pretty good clock. And some of them do 2400 999, and that's also really good. That's still better than this. So let's go to 9, 12, 9, 30. 9, 10, oh, 930. I'm not gonna choose 1.485. What the hell? Oh, that's BCLK skew. Sorry, 1.485. 1.2. 1.15. A little bit, smidge more. 1.2. 2, 3, 5. 1.7. 1.75, 1.87. There. Benefit of memorizing your freaking BIOS. It's like you can ask me almost any timing for that other kit of RAM and I'll probably be able to tell you if I remembered the names of them. Keep that enabled, put that to 10. High, 40, 450. Actually leave that auto there, 450. Extreme. There, that's everything the same as last time, right? Oh, and enable extreme tweaking. And put this to 20. And RAM tuning is more fun on your own, if you're into RAM. And now we're going to do the 260X. So that means I'm going to bring you over to the system again. Sorry for the mess on the desk. And let's get some metering going here. So I'm just going to move this RAM out of the way. Let's start hooking stuff up. And now it doesn't want to start again. Bloody hell! Oh well, I can still hook this stuff up. Get this out of the way. So, let's hook up core voltage and memory voltage. So, here's just like a digital multimeter. It's not nothing special. Well, it isn't anything special. Sorry about that. I'm just going to set it to 2 volts because we're not going over 2 volts. Start it up. You can see it clearly. Great. And now here's a trick that I like to do. So usually you shouldn't just like, you should hook this up to the GND of like the capacitor or your graphics card, but if you're not really that focused on getting like, it basically gives you like 10 millivolts or error on your voltage, you just stick it into the GND of a Molex, because it fits really nicely, right? It's like stable, doesn't fall out, so that's nice. So that's ground, and now let's just hook it up to core, which should be this one. There. And now, as you can see, we have core voltage reading at 0.93 volts. And now if I switch on the core voltage mod, you can see that the voltage jumped right up. Right? That's because I have mod enabled. And that's what I said, it messes with the sensing, because right now we're running 2D mode, right? So we're sub 1 volt, and then when it goes into 3D, it'll be running 1.3. So right now we're running 2D, and we're running more voltage on 2D, which is why these hard mods are just kind of iffy, and why you want to have a switch on them is because you're going to run that extra voltage all the time, everywhere. It's not going to be the same amount of extra voltage, but it's going to be constant. So basically, once we get to about 1.5 core voltage, we're getting 1.1 idle, which is basically 3D load for AMD graphics cards. And this bloody BIOS is going to kill me. Alright, and temperature. So, here is just some really cheap temperature probe. Here's the actual probe for it. I think this is a thermocouple, but it might just be a resistor. I'm not sure. It's really inaccurate, but it gives you some rough idea what temperature the card's running at. And I'm just going to stick it right down the center of the heatsink. Like the base of the heatsink. You know, it has fins in there. So that's proving more difficult than last time. I have to bend it a little. Put it in there like this. There. Okay, now it's actually touching the base of the heatsink. Great. And the BIOS is still crapping all over me. Reset it, start it. Ugh. Annoying as hell. So right, a bunch of new people came along to the script stream. I have the R7260X. I'm Gold Zoid, and right now I'm fixing my stupid idea to try overclock RAM on a live stream. It's not fun, it's boring, and it doesn't work. Actually disabled. I don't remember what I was talking last time. So right, the system you're looking at right now is going to be running at 5 gigahertz. Yeah, 5 gigahertz for the whole stream. And I'm benching 3D Mark, Vantage, and 11. Might do Firestrike. I'm not sure if I'll do Firestrike because I didn't manage to install it. Like, there was internet issues, and so it downloaded just before the stream, so that's that. I'm just quickly patching up the BIOS. The two meters down here, that's temperature, and this is a probe not actually on the core of the card. It's right on the, right touching the base of the heatsink. So it's as close, it's probably like 10 degrees off, but it's close enough. And even 20 degrees off as the temperature goes up. And then this is core voltage, and, well, you know, core voltage, memory voltage, this is just a multimeter measuring voltage right now. And right now it's just reading the core, and this is not normal 2D core voltage if you know anything about AMD graphics cards. This is actually already overvolted because I enabled the volt mod on the core voltage, and it naturally just permanently raises all voltages. So this is 2D voltage plus a couple millivolts. So let's get this thing started. Pump more voltage through it, then it'll work. Something doesn't work when you're overclocking and you're doing it for benchmarks, raise V-core and keep calm. It'll work. So I'm almost done with the BIOS here. And we can get almost into the OS, like ASAP. Okay. Sorry for all the tapping of the keyboard. Also, there we go. So that's the, yep, BIOS is configured. Save changes and reset. And now the system will hopefully just start up and we can go straight to benchmarking, which is actually interesting. Oh, I'm from the Czech Republic. Somebody just asked where I'm from. I'm from the Czech Republic, but I went to a British school, and then after that I went to like an American international school. Like, they like to think that they're an international school, but basically American accents all around. So that's where I'm from. I'm from the Czech Republic, and right now I'm in the Czech Republic. And yay, it started! Okay, so let's get into Windows. So, let's get into some benchmarking theory. If you're actually serious about benchmarking, you do not benchmark on the same OS that you use every day. And I forgot to configure the hard drives. Right? Everybody knows what that is. That's what you get when you don't mess up with your hard drive settings, boot order. So let's just reset this. I'm going to get the hard drive to start up properly this time. Right, but basically if you're legit, like, properly serious about overclocking, you do not run your gaming OS or whatever OS for overclocking. That's, like, especially for benchmarking, it's just a terrible idea. You install 2 copies of your OS, and you just don't authenticate the other one. It doesn't make a difference, right? It's like how for 7 you have that 30-day trial. You never have to actually pay for it. It just stays a 30-day trial forever. And no OC profiles. There. Yeah, that's the wrong bloody hard drive. There. Okay, that's set up now. Okay, this will boot. Sorry about that. Right, so you run 2 operating systems. You install 2 copies of the same disk. You don't need wait, what did I just ask? Wait. Right, so you have 2 OSs, and basically, I'm going to show you what, right, so here's the 2 OSs. The top one is my benchmarking one because it's the one that loads up. Oh, no, it doesn't crash or corrupt your system files. When you overclock, basically you want to disable as much crap as you can, right? So you disable all your services. Like this OS that we're booting into right now doesn't even hook up to the internet because network drivers eat up too much stuff, right? It's just like you want every single piece of clock, like every little clock cycle you can get. You don't want to be using it for stupid crap that isn't benchmarks. You want everything be benchmarks, especially if you're benching something really CPU heavy like Sine Bench, SuperPi, GPU Pi on your CPU. That's like worse than SuperPi 32 million. Has anybody here benched SuperPi 32 million? That's like boredom to death. 7 minutes. And that's like, on air you can get it down to about 5 minutes with a really good Haswell, like 5.2 gigahertz Haswell. You can maybe get 5 minutes. I'm not sure. Maybe. I think 5:30, maybe 6 minutes. And then so basically SuperPi takes forever. Well, GPU Pi is like SuperPi, except written for GPUs, so it's written in OpenCL by some real, guy from Hardware Bob, and he wrote it, and it's even worse. It takes even longer because it's 1 billion, right? So you bench 32 million digits of pi usually. That benches 1 billion digits of pi. It uses all your cores, but it still runs like 10 minutes or something. So those are just benchmarks that it's like, I want to die doing those. Alright, so let's get to benchmarking. So I use Sapphire Tricks. Now, why do I use Sapphire Tricks? It just generally less stuff. Me and Afterburner have a iffy relationship at best, and I don't need Afterburner's features right now. Because there's no fan control on a card that doesn't have a fan plug, that doesn't actually have its own... the system just crashed. Why does this happen? Well, sorry about that. That wasn't Trix' fault. How? I was running 5 gigahertz for 3 days now. Okay, sorry, this is just usual. 4.5 gigahertz on a 4670K is fine. Yeah, especially on B85. I think there was a... Actually, Intel banned a certain set of motherboards, but I think that was Ivy Bridge that enabled overclocking on lower-end motherboards. You know, this never makes sense to me. Like, last time I was streaming this card, I had to run at 4.5 gigahertz. I don't know why, it just didn't want to start up, so I just quickly set it to 4.5 gigahertz and it worked. But it doesn't make any sense, because I've literally just been doing everything at 5 gigahertz for the last 3 days, and everything worked just fine. No crashes, no nothing. Maybe I'll set the... No, this is all set up properly. Oh, well, just raise vCore. First rule of benchmarking. Yeah, this 3960X needs a replacement. Luckily, I figured out that I don't need a ridiculously, like, I got to grips with the fact that I don't like when I first built my PC, this is my first PC, I was like, I need something future-proof as hell, and I was like, I don't need any, and now I'm like, it doesn't matter what I buy, because I'm probably going to kill it, and if it's cheaper, it's better, because I don't play games on it, so when it dies, it costs me less to replace. Let's just start up Windows again. Alright, so this is just hopefully going to just start up, and then we can actually get finally into the benchmarks. Right, so if you actually want to do something similar to your own R7 260X, if you have an R7 260X, which, I don't know, I think many people would have the card, but I don't know how many people would be willing to do this. There is a guide right on my blog, which you can see right here. At my blog, if you go, there's a search function on the right. You just type in R7 260X Volt Mod Guide, and it should come right up. And like, you just follow that guide, and it literally guides you through everything that I did to my R7 260X right here. Alright. And so hopefully it won't crash this time. Yeah. So good news, the card is recognized, unlike last time when I had to reinstall the bloody driver. And right, so here we have the stock clocks. Yeah, so this is a gigabyte. It's just, I think it was like R7 260X 2 gig OC, like model name or something. And I chose it because highest stock clock and best VRM of all the R7 260Xs that were within my budget range. This is a 4+1+1, which if you were here for the start of the stream you already know. And if you come now, basically it's a 4 phases V-core, 1 phase VRAM, 1 phase V auxiliary. V-core is the voltage that raises your GPU core clock. VRAM raises the memory clock, and V auxiliary is only useful for liquid nitrogen because it affects the what's it called? What's it called? Right, the display. It helps the display because you get black screens under liquid nitrogen without high V auxiliary voltage. But I don't have liquid nitrogen. Well, I do have the gear for it, but not for graphics cards, for CPUs. And liquid nitrogen is kind of like hard to get for me here. So let's start. First we need to tune the card for voltages. So voltages I'm going to be using here today. 1.46 V-core, 1.75 V-memory. So, how are we going to do that? Well, you first start up your Unigine benchmark. So I just have the Unigine benchmark right here installed. And we just start up the benchmark because you need to get the card under 3D load when you're doing this kind of volt mod, because you don't actually know what kind of voltage the card's going to run until you actually get it under 3D load and it runs in 3D mode, because in 3D mode it runs a higher voltage. So I like Unigine because it starts the fastest of all the stuff I have installed. So that's why we're using 3D Unigine. And let's come over to the card and look at all our temperatures and stuff. Right, so here we can see the volt mod is enabled, 1.34 volts right now on core. We're at stock clock, so I'm just going to disable the mod, and you can see 1.2, 1.27, right? So it just drops the core voltage. So enable the mod again, ta-da! We're at 1.3. We're going up to 1.45, so I'm just going to lower the resistance on the sense pin. Carefully. The hot glue on there is like kinda iffy at this point. Right, there we go. So we're at 1.35. I'm gonna have to slowly, because I'm really worried about this potentiometer just popping off eventually. Like, I tried re-gluing it back on today, but I don't trust my gluing work that well. There, and we're at 1.45, and I'm not going above that, because I don't want the card dying today. Not today, graphics card. And now we're going to set memory. So we pull out the memory sense wire, and we pull the from core, and we make sure that core doesn't touch anything. This is straight to the core voltage. That VRM can supply a lot of power. Not a lot of voltage, but if you get it to something that's grounded, then you're screwed. Like, if this hits ground, that's bad. That's really, really bad. Terrible. Right, so let's get this up to... Let's start cranking up that. Right, I don't have this enabled. So now I'm going to enable the memory mod. There. Right, and now we're at 1.65, and let's start cranking up. There. And we're just about at 1.7, and I'm just going to 7.5. So actually, I'm going to give it a speck more. Oops. It's too high for my tastes. I don't want the card going today. This is where you don't usually use a potentiometer or you get a high turn rate. It's really hard to fine tune. Or you use a trimmer, but then you need to use a screwdriver, and that's just like, I don't even want to go near my computer with a screwdriver while it's on. I'm really like bad at holding things. Right, so let's go back to the OS. So there's a fundamental. So as you can see, Unigyne's running just fine. We just tuned the voltages. You saw that I set the voltages up. Let's get out of Unigyne, because like I benchmarked this last time. So that's Unigyne right there. And okay, so now we have the voltages set up. I'm just going to pull up the clocks I remember from last time. So I'm just going to start at 1440 and 1.950. Which is a couple megahertz under the clocks I was running the last time I was doing this. So, why am I not changing the power limit? Well, if you read the volt modding guide, then the guide basically tells you to cut off the power limiting pins, which results in the following, which I don't know if you'll be able to see because it's going to be on the screen, but there. All right, I'm going to try my very best to make sure you can actually see it. You go to the sensors. VDDC current 0.8 amps, right? And that basically means the card can't read its own power consumption, which is what we want to do because we don't want any kind of power-related throttling. Also, the card does actually accurately report modded voltage. The controller, for some reason, doesn't go against it, but, you know, it does report it. It's off by a couple millivolts, but it's about there, about right. And yeah, so power limit, the current draw is wrong, the power is wrong, so we don't have to worry about a power limiter. Alright, because why would you worry about a power limiter that doesn't even know how much power is going through it? Which is why you cut the power limiting traces in the volt modding guide. Because if you don't cut those, then you're going to throttle all the time, especially at 1.5 volts. Like a simple thing to remember with voltage is, if you raise voltage by 20%, your current is going to increase by 20%. That's just pretty much flat out true. I tested this, it always works out. And actually, as your core temperatures go up, your leakage goes up, and your current's going to actually go more than the percent increase in voltage. And then once you start raising clock, which say you raise clock by 20%, you're going to get, say, 50% more power draw. But it also depends on the architecture with that, and I haven't tested that many things. I tested some really cheap athlons to see how the scaling works, and basically that's what I got. You raise core clock, it raises power draw. You raise core voltage, it raises power draw. And core clock is basically linear. Core voltage is exponential because, you know, you have voltage 20%, current 20%. They multiply, so then you get the increase by 20% in current and voltage stacks because power equals voltage times current, so, you know, your power consumption with voltage goes exponentially up. Which is why overvolting anything is always a terrible idea. Unless, like, not terrible idea, but if you want power efficiency, you don't overvolt. You just don't. It never helps efficiency. Like, your efficiency goes straight out the window. Above, like, 10%, it goes right out the window. There is no stops on the power draw after that. Right, so then I'm going to show you the differences between Windows, normal Windows, and say this Windows. So if we open up Task Manager, those are all the tasks currently running on the system. That's not a lot of tasks. There is basically nothing on the system except benchmarks and OC utilities, validation tools, and Windows. And drivers. There is nothing else on the system, which really helps. Oh, and there's a few tweaking programs, and that's all there is to make sure that you get, like, I get as high performance as I possibly can. And basically it also means that this runs on less than a gig of RAM. And we already have Trix open, and Trix is actually pretty RAM hungry due to the skin and stuff. It takes up a couple megabytes. Right? Yeah, Trix is like 20 megabytes. So basically this uses no RAM at all. And then services, as you can see, again, these, I'm going to highlight them for you, are all the running ones. Everything else is stopped, which is why this computer can't connect to the internet, and I have to do all my benchmarking manually. So first up, let's do 3D Mark 11, because I like 11 better than Vantage. But before we start the benchmark, there's a few things you have to set up with Windows, especially on an AMD graphics card. You can't do this on an NVIDIA as far as I know. But for hardware bought rules, you can't do this with AMD because your drivers have a lot of settings that help you with performance. So first of all, texture filtering quality, you just put it to performance. This gives you a slight boost in benchmarks. But most importantly, tessellation mode. You set it to override application settings and you set maximum tessellation off. You just turn off your tessellation. And so you turn off your tessellation, and what the? You know, I'm just so used to blue screens at this point, so while this tries to restart, which I have no idea why that just happened, it looked like a RAM error. So I'm just going to give the RAM a little more voltage and we're going to go straight back in. So Sodan Popin asked the kill the 280X. No sparks, nothing, fan spin, but black screen and our... You'd have to take the card apart to see if there's any physical damage. And then, like, you could judge whether it's salvageable or not. Without taking it apart, it's like nobody knows. I already have a ton of RAM voltage. What the hell? Set this to further. And just keep this on auto. You know, this is so weird. I think that might have been just an AMD driver crash, but could have been RAM. I don't know. Let's try saving pages and reset. Can't see any physical damage. Well, that's odd. You probably shorted something out related to... Like, probably just the VRM's dead, but, like, there is a way that you could, in theory, revive the card, but you're more likely to get it wrong than right, and it actually costs money. It's not just, like, something like the baking trick. You'd have to buy, like, you'd probably have to, like, you'd have to put an alternative VRM on the card. Like, you'd have to build a zombie card, as they're termed, if you wanted to save that. And I'm not sure how viable that is. And like, you need to be good at soldering, and you need a ridiculously high power soldering iron. Because like I use a 150 watt soldering iron for those kinds of things. The soldering is a mess afterwards. It's completely unusable. Most likely the cooler wouldn't even fit afterwards. So assuming you killed the VRM, you can usually just say bye-bye to the graphics card. But if you really don't want to say bye-bye to the graphics card and you don't see an issue with potentially just burning more money on trying to revive it, then Control Center, I'll just get 3D Mark open up again. Turning down settings. Sorry about the startup time, this is not on an SSD. Can't afford an SSD when you kill graphics cards, RAM, and CPUs basically on a monthly basis. I have like a collection of data. I don't even have, no, it's not a collection, because I get rid of them. But I had a bunch of dead AMD CPUs, a bunch. I had a dead Athlon, and I have a half-dead Athlon. That one still works. I still have that. And I have a, what's it called? I have a dead, no, I also got rid of that. Basically, I converted all my, I had a dead A10. That got converted into a keychain. And I do actually still have the other dead Athlon. I do still have that. That's going to be another keychain. Yeah, so you just set your tessellation mode off, right? For AMD graphics cards, when you're benching, you set your tessellation off down here. You just copy that setting. And if you don't, and basically it's legal for hardware bot, nobody else will accept it. Which is kind of messed up, right? No, most forums don't accept it as a legitimate tweak because it lowers your graphics quality. Like, it literally just makes stuff look uglier in the name of more performance. But you do that for all of your benchmarks for hardware bot if you have an AMD graphics card. And the other thing is, you change your level of detail. Now, there's a bunch of programs you can use for it. You can just look for, there's Gainieb's LOD tweak, which you can Google, and then there's SetLOD, which I have. And I like SetLOD better because SetLOD is smaller, lighter weight, and overall, like, it has less functionality, it starts up faster. And SetLOD, I don't know where I got it. Like, I got it from a forum, and I can't find the download link any longer, so sorry. If anybody wanted that. So let's get 3D Mark opened up. Why doesn't it want to start? There we go. Right. And the card's still tuned from before, right? The voltages are still the same. We have the increased core voltage right there. Also, interestingly enough, if you get a VRAM error with a graphics card, you're going to get the same error message as for a regular RAM error with Windows. So it's like, if you think your VRAM is broken, it might also be, no, if you think your RAM is messed up, it might also be your graphics card. It just works both ways. I'm just going to set this pretty high up. And let's apply this, and let's just run 3D Mark before anything crashes again. Oh wait, right, and then I'm going to show you another tweak right after this run. Now this is kind of boring because last time what I was doing was I had like a sort of, I was trying to chase down a Unigiant score which was above me. Whereas this time around, I'm not chasing anyone. This card is the fastest. I'm just like gonna blow everything away now. Right? It's literally just a case. My card is running so much faster than everybody else's on hardware bot. Like, if you look at the rankings, which I'll pull up for you, well, I won't pull them up for you in the stream because my laptop would probably die, and already the FPS is going really, really low, which I'm sorry about. I'm gonna see if I can do something. Actually, no, that might crash OBS, and that would be bad. Did it die? No, it didn't die. 3D Mark is freaking stressful. Okay, most stressful benchmark. It goes black screen, and you're like, did it die? It didn't. Which is good. So I'm gonna quickly drop the link in the chat for the R7 260X, like benchmark tables, and you're gonna notice one thing. It's like, I don't even have to try today. So it's all up to you to get this card to score as high as is needed, because I'm incredibly lazy and I will not push this card. Right? So it's like, I should have totally installed 3D Mark. I have the install package, it's just not installed right. So here's the R7 260X ranking. So those are the, right now in the chat I dropped the R7 260X rankings. The question above me, MSFT Jan asked, how much power do I figure this thing is sucking down? Well, once we get to the mixed test, which we're still doing graphics test, the 3960X needs about 300 watts. 350-ish. And I haven't tested that, but it needs about 350 on the 12 volt rail. From the power supply, that on the other side of the power supply, that might be a bit more. Reposting link there. Right, so so the 3960X is 350 watt. The what's it called? Oh my god, it's artifacting. Right, so it's artifacting, and I'm gonna go quickly run over to the card. So as we can see, RAM volts are fine, but the core is obviously crapping out because we were just getting artifacts. And I don't know about you, but artifacts don't matter to hardware bot, but I prefer not seeing them. And did it just died? Oh, it did just died. Okay, so it looks like the core decided to give up this run. So I'm just gonna give it a tad more voltage. So right, so the core just gave up on me. I think the core gave up on me, or the RAM gave up. The real RAM, like in the main system RAM. I wish this had, like, you know those new overclocking motherboards with all those extra buttons on them? I wish the Rampage had those, because then I could just raise the core, like, you don't have to install any software. Right? A lot of people are like, why would you want buttons on your motherboard? I love buttons on my motherboard. I could raise the core voltage right now, because I didn't install AI Suit. AI Suit eats up resources. AI Suit is bad. So anyway, that crashed. And I'm pretty sure it was because of the core clock. But why would I worry about that? I'm just going to give it more RAM clock. Because this card scales off RAM anyway. So what's the record on the R7260X? Oh, on the link, every single score on that link, just the world record, under the world record table, those are all the fastest R7260X scores. And if you look into them, you'll notice that the guy running them has a card that's running around 1.2 gigahertz core. So that's why I said I'm not going to really have to try, because when I went and made my score, I beat the last score by 15%, because the guy below me is 1.2 gigahertz. And my score is the one next to Unigine, with the Czech flag next to it, because, you know, I'm Czech. Average OC. Oh, no, up top. No, that's just average OC for, yeah, that's average OC. But if you scroll through the benchmarks and you click on the individual scores, then you actually get to see the, actual overclocks on the people's cards. And you'll have to click, a lot of people don't actually post their card clocks into text. You have to click on the validation screenshot, which is necessary for hardware bot to acknowledge that you aren't cheating on the benchmark. Right? So I'm just gonna, man, messing with two computers with two mice and two keyboards, painful. Closed, workload work failed with, is it unexpected? So that looks like the driver didn't like the core clock. So let's just run it again, and let's quickly tune up. So I'm gonna try tune up the V-core before it craps out this time. No, up. Need up. Up. Now it gave, yeah, I twisted it the wrong way around. Oh, and you can't see that properly. You know, last time somebody suggested that I put something under there. I think I'm going to do that. Here, Swiss Army knife. That should be enough. There. That did like nothing. I could have just not bothered at all. Oh well. I'm gonna have to run this again. Workload failed. Yeah, close. I don't care. We're just gonna get this to run one way or another. Oh, and now we're at, yeah, 1.5. There. Okay, so now we're getting like 1.47, which is really high. Like really, really, really high for the poor card. The knife thing. So funny story about the Swiss Army knife that I just put under the multimeter. I used it to take apart a MacBook Pro. Actually, no, I use it to take apart MacBook Pros. That's just like its #1 use. I use it to do a lot, actually, like, I use it as a screwdriver for the most part. And 3D Mark really, oh, okay, it's still running. It's still running. So anyways, I'll finally get around to answering the power draw question. So 3960X is like 350 watts once we hit the physics test. The card, probably around 170. I'll have to check something about stock power consumption for the 260X, because I don't know that off of the top of my head. I know it's around 100 watts. That's all I really know. Did it just die? Oh, it didn't just die. Oops, sorry. Having you stare at my keyboard. Right, so I'll just quickly check the 260X power consumption. This is weird. Using two computers like this. Alright, so a stock 260X is a stock 260X is about, oh, it's about 93 watts and about 85 usually. And we're running about 50% more core voltage. Not. Wait, I need to get a calculator here. Like, soon. There's my phone. Oops. So anyways, we're running like, well, I'm running like, is it artifacting again? Looks like it is. Oops, I just closed bloody Twitch stream. Sorry. It shows that this is my first freaking time streaming. Ah, there we go. We got to physics this time. Please don't. No. Okay, well that's... So, here's the problem, what's happening right now. What's happening right now is we hit the 3D test, and the card drops core voltage before... no, we hit physics. It drops core voltage because it's physics, so there's not a lot of load on the card. But due to that, it doesn't underclock fast enough and it crashes. That's not nice. But we have GPU tweak. And GPU tweak, at least this version that I have, has an interesting feature which allows you to change 2D mode, but only clock. Damn it. Wait, let's see. If I put the clock high enough, will it just jump to 3D? Ah, great. Okay, so this is great. So if I did not test this before. So here's the thing. With GPU tweak, you can tweak your 2D clocks, which also raises your core voltage in proportion. So right now we're running 1.377 volts at stock clocks. Yeah, so basically, wait, I'm just going to finish the calculation here. 150. Right, so yeah, we're getting about 2 times power consumption on the graphics card. As you can see, we're getting about 1.375 volts right now, even though we're not running 3D Mark, which is great, because that's exactly what we need to get through the physics test. And memory clock right now is actually 600 megahertz, and let's just go overboard. I can push the card to 7K, but wait, is this... This should be in thousands. I'm gonna need touch power up to help me here. GPU-Z. Pull up GPU-Z and current. Yeah, so we're just gonna pull the memory up to 6 gigahertz. Which isn't as high as it can go, but you know, this is like a hacked 2D mode right now, so I'm gonna put this to 1100 and apply. Oh, and it keeps boosting. Yes! Great. So now we're running some serious idle voltage, which means we're not going to crash, hopefully. Assuming that I'm correct about my theory on why it's crashing, it shouldn't crash any longer. So let's get into that benchmark. And I'm just going to need to check with touch power up one more time. Yeah. Close. Don't care. Whiny benchmark. Oh, and I need 3D. Oh, great. So I do need GPU tweak open. No, I need 2D mode. Yeah, okay, the voltage just dropped off. So I need GPU tweak open, and this is bad because that's eating up maybe a couple points. But, you know, 3D Mark is measured in the thousands, so I don't really mind. Alright, so clocks are up, voltage is up, run the benchmark. Alright, yeah, so the card is probably pulling around 200 watts. And I do have a power meter here, and I did want to plug it in, but the thing is, like, the way my cables are, it's just you wouldn't see anything anyway. Are we running in... Okay, now it looks like we're stuck in 2D mode. Which isn't too bad, because, like, I should be able to just override 2D mode into running 3D clocks, but this'll be interesting. This is what happens when you really push the limit. Everything stops working. So this'll be an achievement if I even get a score at these clocks. Instead of, like... Oh, right, and I forgot to monitor the Twitch chat. Sorry, guys! This really does look like we're running 2D clocks. You know, it's funny. I always think that I'm going to get through multiple benchmarks in one stream, but it never happens. Admittedly, I've only done 2 streams so far. This one and the last one. But still, I was hoping to get 2 3D marks today, but hey, if we get through this one, it'll be an achievement. You know, I really need to get a better laptop for doing all my streaming. So, I'm gonna try... Load physics? Oh, we're still on graphics. Well, physics is coming up soon, and I'm just like, need to get score. This was, I don't know. I can't tell. I can't remember what FPS I was getting before this. I'm gonna try fix the stream quality. So, give me a sec, will you? I'm gonna set it to Windows 7 Basic. There we go. Please. Please wait, please wait. Yeah, I'm waiting. Sorry for that stop in the stream. It crashed again. Workload, work failed. Well, at least the stream is running mildly. No, it's not running any better. Sorry. And it's crashed again. Why does it keep crashing? I don't know. I'm gonna drop core clock a little bit. Oh, that's what happened. It underclocked on through. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So GPU tweak underclocked it. So that's why we lost all that FPS. And I'm just gonna set it like this. And I wonder if I can run mix settings. Should be interesting. Because that's the thing, like if you use multiple OC utilities, everything goes down the drain. Everything breaks. So now I'm going to punch in 1050, which is like stock clock for this card, and apply. And we have that. And we have our 1370. We have our 2 gigahertz memory. Okay, and I'm going to slightly lower core voltage because obviously something is very wrong and I give up. So I'm just going to tweak it down to 1.4. 3-ish. There. And hopefully this time it'll actually finish the test. And even if, like, sure, I'm running really reduced clocks and I promised 1.5 gigahertz core. If your card, yeah, okay, now it looks like it's running the right clocks. Even though we're not getting those amazing FPS as before. Yeah, so, viewer question here. Yeah, so what happens with AMD cards is the 280X might actually be affected by this. Some AMD cards don't actually have like the programs like Afterburner, which is actually why I stopped using Afterburner. Was basically you could set any voltage in the program, but it didn't actually affect the card unless you measured. Right, like you went to, like, you set a voltage and then you measured it on the VRM and nothing happened. And so obviously your overclocking range didn't increase. Or the other thing with AMD cards is they're really temperature sensitive. they clock best and scale best between, well, below 70 degrees. The colder you get them below 70 degrees, the better. The better the maximum clocks you get, and the better they scale with voltage. Above 70 degrees, 50 millivolts more produces so much more heat that you often won't get a better clock. It might actually start artifacting. So yeah, AMD cards are kind of picky. Now, of course, you can just brute force it and push a ton of voltage, and that usually fixes it. But again, if your cooling doesn't keep up with the voltage you're raising, it doesn't, your clocks just don't go up as much as you'd want to. Hopefully this time we can finally get it running. Sorry, I'm forgetting to keep the camera facing the monitor. Well, there's much to see, and let's now observe, because it's coming right up. So we're at graphics test 4. Physics is right after this one. So now is like the important, yeah, and we're only getting 38 degrees on the temperature probe. Last time I was getting like 44 benching Unigine, and I like Unigine better because it doesn't have a physics aspect, and we might be crashing physics because of RAM again, but at this point I'm not gonna, well, yeah, at this point I'd have to restart the system again. At least it's cooler than it was. Yeah. Okay, now we're hitting physics. Voltages are staying, and it dropped. And I'm like, so there's only so many things that could be causing this over and over and over and over again. And probably it's RAM or CPU not being stable. And basically I don't think I'm going to do anything about that. So I'm going to try Vantage. I don't think I did this might be the first time I'm actually doing Vantage. This is the first time. Okay. Presets performance. Wait, I need to just check something against hardware bot that I'm not benching something that's not worth benching. Because hardware bot doesn't take all 3D Mark scores, it only takes a few specific ones. And I forgot which those are, so benchmarks. And this is why I like Unigine better. It doesn't crash as much. Much easier a benchmark to do. Yeah, okay, it's Vantage performance. Great. So we're just going to do Vantage performance. And it's set to performance. All four. Okay, let's start this. Hopefully it won't crash. Right, and I'm going to go back to answering viewer questions. So this is actually the first time I've ever done Vantage. So I don't actually know what's going to happen. Yeah, so with the 280X, I'd also check that the card's actually getting a voltage increase. Because I had an HD 7970 that didn't, like, you raised core voltage in software, it didn't do anything. I didn't just die. Okay, no it didn't. Well, the card's doing fine. Now this is another Unigine-like benchmark, which just takes forever and ever and ever. I hate benchmarks like this. It just takes so long. No, Unigine is similarly bad, but at least Unigine is like, there's not a lot of stuff that can go like wrong with it. So yeah, whereas 3D Mark is like the fact that they have physics and 3D, it's just like way more intense. For Unigine, it's like unless you have 2 or more 390X level graphics cards or 390 level graphics cards, you don't have to worry about anything because your CPU is non-issue. And even if your CPU, because once you get to like the 390 level graphics cards, you start pushing like 360 frames in some scenes of Unigine, and you know, you're running Crossfire. So when you're running those 360 frames, that's when your CPU starts kind of being an issue, and you can benefit a little bit from RAM overclocking and CPU overclocking. But for 3D Mark, it's like CPU and RAM are basically essential. Well, not essential, but they can cause your benchmark to fail, and they do impact your score a little. Whereas in Unigine, it's just like, do whatever. As long as the graphics card goes really, really fast and doesn't crash, then you're fine. These tests are actually kind of interesting to watch. Too bad that unlike Unigine, these don't have audio with them. Which in Unigine is actually a negative because Unigine's freaking soundtrack is just obnoxious. Oh my god, this test is 2 minutes! I pity the guys who bench this on liquid nitrogen. You have to just be like standing there and pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring. And then you mess up and it crashes and you have to do it all over again. Oh, and this is the CPU test. Well, here it's called AI, but it's a CPU test, basically. It's fun that it's so, like, slow. I have a 5 GHz 3960X. I would have thought that would have been pretty... Oh my god! What? Is this not a CPU test? Whoa. That is evil. Well, it just goes to show that 3D Mark is a completely different, like, 3D. The only thing, like, 3D about 3D Mark is freaking 3D in the name. This is so heavily... Well, I mean, it probably doesn't affect the score that much, but come on. That was really heavy. Is this bugged? This looked bugged. How long is this? Whoa, Vantages. No, this is why, well, I'm happy I never played Vantage before this, and I'm sorry that I had made you watch this, though if you've never watched this before, enjoy it. Oh yeah, you know I'm hoping this ain't bugged. If this crashes, I'm just like... If this crashes, I'm gonna be annoyed. This is... I don't want to watch any more 3D Mark. How long is this? Somebody help me! I wonder, like, the people who design these, it's like... How... First of all, how do they come up... Well, how they come up with this is like, it's obvious that they've gone on a bad trip or had a nightmare. But it's like, why would you animate this for so long? It's like, by comparison, the newer, like, this is more... Like, I think what happened in the evolution of the 3D Marks is like, you first had so this is Vantage, this is older than Firestrike and the new stuff. And obviously the difference between this Firestrike and 11 is this is really, and sorry again, I'm going to hardware bot, so the FPS is going to be dropping a bit, because I'm checking if the score is high enough, which it should be. But basically, so the big difference between these is like Firestrike looks much better. 11 looks much better than Vantage. Like, there's a lot better looking 3D Marks. And I suck at Vantage. I barely beat the guy above me. Oh, his is actually also clocked really high. Well, that's cool. I finally got some competition. So, CPU score 51k. GPU score 23k. How much did he do? So I do have a competitor for this benchmark. I only beat the guy below me by a couple points. Do you think I'm gonna settle? Terrible AMD joke. I'm not gonna never gonna settle. I'm breaking this score. So just in the comments right now, I dropped the score that I need to beat, and I beat it. I beat it. But last time I beat somebody's score, it was by 15%, not by less than 1. So, I think more tweaking is in order. And by the looks of it, we have plenty of CPU power behind this machine. So, oh, he actually blows my CPU right out of the freaking water. He was getting 65k. What chip? Oh, I'm going up against a 5960X. You know, honestly, I shouldn't be complaining. I'm the one using a 3960X and a, like, $5,000 PC, you know, European prices. Yeah, never settle for that bare minimum victory. I'm going to crush that score. But before I crush that score, it's just like... So the other guy has a 5960X. That's annoying, to say the least. Well, okay. So I think we all know what that means. More megahertz. And more recore. I'm totally gonna, like, if these streams get popular enough and stuff, and if my blog gets popular enough, like, check out my blog if you want more stupid crap like this. I'm doing a bunch of articles really soon. I finally got, like, a shipment of stuff today for all of it. And so today I got, like, some power supplies and stuff. So soon I'm going to be putting out another AMD motherboard review. Yeah, the 5960X means war. That is completely correct. That does mean war. So, who's up for 5.2 gigahertz CPU? Everybody up for 5.2 gigahertz CPU? Put a 1 in the comments. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go through with whatever I was talking about, which I just forgot. Sorry, my friends say I have the attention span of a 2-year-old. Right. So anyway, I was thinking about if my blog gets big enough, and go check out my blog because there's going a motherboard review, and I plan to do a 380 volt modding guide, which will also apply to the 285. And so anyway, I was thinking if I'm gonna 5.21 gigahertz. The furthest I go with this 3960X is like 5.25. It scales well up to 5.25. It doesn't go well above 5.25. But right, so the idea was if my blog gets bigger, I'm totally releasing a shirt which is just keep calm and raise VCore. Because, you know, that's awesome. So anyway, I need to save this score. And I'm pretty sure HWBot just announced that we need to use the newer version of GPU-Z for authentication, which is fine because I have it downloaded. So I'm just going to quickly install that and save this score. And once that's saved, no, wrong disk. What? Why is it loading so slow? That's what I get for... Oh, it just woke up. Damn it. Now this is why you don't use a Western Digital Green, but I built the computer at a time when I didn't know any better. So anyways, downloads, let's install GPU-Z, run. Update to close, retry. So anyway, so I need to update GPU-Z so that I can take my screenshot and then validate this. And that means GPU-Z open, and now I need to open up CPU-Z a bunch of times. So yeah. And here's a funny story from overclocking. So I benched for two HWBot teams so far. And teams are basically just groups of overclockers who bench on hardware bot together in a team. Basically, it just mixes your scores together. So the deal with the scores is right. So in my old team, which I was benching for Team Tech Power Up, my captain had a 3770K. My captain was also really adventurous. He was like, he really pushed the rest of the team. Like, he was great. He was an awesome captain. He had a Platinum 8350 that did 5.5, 5.6 gigahertz on water cooling. Yeah. 5.6 gigahertz on water cooling. It's like that makes me, that's what I love about AMD CPUs. It's like you can use really crap cooling. Well, you can go non-liquid nitrogen on them and they will clock insanely high. But so I'm just gonna print screen and paste it into a screenshot. There. Save 3DV. How many points did I get? 27.4. 27375. So underscore 260x. There. So my captain had a 3770K, and he pushed us all, and he started the team, and he was freaking awesome. And he was benching his 3770K on liquid nitrogen. He got 6.9 gigahertz. If you know anything about Ivy Bridge and liquid nitrogen, Ivy Bridge does not scale at all on liquid nitrogen. It's terrible. It's really bad at liquid nitrogen overclocking. So, anyways, so he was overclocking on liquid nitrogen, and he got 6.9 gigahertz, right? He starts up the computer, has 6.9 gigahertz. Just taking a screenshot of 6.9 gigahertz on a 3770K is worth a ton of points on hardware bot. Well, at the time it was a ton of points, because 377, like, there's a bunch of ways that points work on hardware bot. But basically, score worth a lot of points, lots of rankings, really good score, basically. So how much did we say? 5.21? There's your 5.21. I'm going to need a ton of voltage for this. 1.59. There we go. And we're on ultra high LLC, so I'm gonna have to go check core vCore for the CPU, not for the GPU even, because this is kind of risky. As I said, this CPU is on its very, very last legs, and I'm just gonna get some crocodile clips because the printout for the bloody vCore on the motherboard is like wrecked. Would be a nice way to say it. And am I really out of crocodile clips? Oh, come on. Okay, well, no crocodile clips. I can't find them. That's too bad. That was close. Right, so we're running 1.56 volts right now. That's a lot of voltage for a CPU. Poor 3960X. I'm never going to do this to you again, I promise. Until the next stream, that is. You guys better buy me a new 3960X. No, Alright, so I need... Okay, well, if we're doing 1.566, then we're getting like 70 millivolts V boost. I don't need that much voltage. So 1.5565... No, 1.565. There. So save changes and reset. And it should just boot there. 1.627 gigahertz. And this should boot. Assuming that the CPU isn't degraded halfway to hell, this should work just fine. Holy crap, that's a lot of voltage. Okay, you know what? I'm going to back down a little, because you might, like, it doesn't look as intense as it is, and I'm risking a lot here. 1.68 volts kills CPUs, like these CPUs. So I need less voltage. What the hell is with my... It's on ultra high, it should be fine, save changes and reset. And that might explain all that degradation. Yeah, so I'm going to drop that. It should still boot. Because here's the thing. If you take a Sandy Bridge E and you put 1.7 volts, 1.725, even with liquid nitrogen, your CPU is probably going to die. When I said in one of my teasers for the stream that I'm a crazy Czech dude, that's what I meant by crazy Czech dude. This 3960X has been at 1.725 volts. It spent a whole 2 minutes there, because that was exactly as long as I needed to start Signbench, finish Signbench, take my screenshot, and upload. Right, and so here's the thing about Sandy Bridge. Now, I don't think we might get it, but basically with Sandy Bridge, the pulsating of the Windows logo, it'll stop, and that tells you don't have enough core voltage if you're overclocking. Now, hopefully it won't happen. It looks like it won't happen because the keyboard turned off. Right, keyboard turns on when before Windows starts up. It froze, and I think it crapped out. 1.637. Oh no. I am very sorry for the CPU. Yep. This CPU is at the very, 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 very edge of its capabilities. Yeah, go check out my blog. That'll that'll fund me another 3960X now. Man, I wish I was like Linus Tech Tips where they just get handed a $4,500 CPUs. But, you know, gotta start somewhere. Oh, that does not sound good. And we're in the BIOS again. And I'm just gonna gently take us down. Bring it back up. I'm gonna do 1.15. Okay? We can't do 1.25. That's not safe. Like, there are limits that even I won't go over. And this is one of them. The DRAM should handle this just fine. So much voltage. Now here's the cool thing. When you're pulling clocks down, you need less voltage than when you're going up. Like significantly less, because the voltage gigahertz relationship is non-linear. It's exponential. More gigahertz needs exponentially more voltage than the last amount of gigahertz. So we dropped 50 megahertz, but we need like a lot less voltage. I hope. Hopefully this will start. So yeah, last time we got that thing where the logo froze and then it crashed. And basically that says not enough core voltage or too high core clock. Now the cool thing is if that happens and you have liquid nitrogen, you can just liquid nitrogen it and it'll boot anyway. And yes, it booted. So 5.15. So we're still nowhere close to that 5960X, but hey, I got a way more powerful graphics card than that guy. So let's blow the guy away. This CPU is like, does nobody have like a 4820K that's like used or something? I'd take a 4820K. Anything really. Yeah, but okay, so let's just check that we're actually running the clock I set. And so we are in Windows. So that's a success, isn't it? Yeah, right there. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I'm going to try my best to show it to you. It's not focusing, but you best believe that's 5.15 gigahertz. That's a lot of gigahertz. Poor old 3960X is going to frickin' die today. I hope not. Now, cool thing is, as long as you're not killing, as long as you're not doing insane Northbridge, like system agent voltages, you're pretty safe. Because in the worst case, your core, like one of your cores will die and you can just ignore it, sort of. You can lower your voltage, drop your clocks below stock, and your CPU will live on as a half-dead monstrosity from hell, which is the case of my 750K, which incidentally runs 5 gigahertz at 1.7 volts. And that's an AMD, so that's completely different. Those don't die to core voltage at all. Intel's, on the other hand, that's a pain. Intels are scary with core voltage, because you can't push a lot of it. So anyway, let's run that benchmark again. Not. We need to get Strix up and running. Get those clocks up. I haven't dropped the voltages on the graphics card, so we can just go insane. And this should blow the guy right away. There. So we're going to just bench right at 1.438 by 8 gigahertz memory. Let's do more than 8 gigahertz memory, you know, just... So there we go. Hopefully, it won't crash. Hopefully my CPU won't die before it finishes. Hopefully my CPU won't die after it finishes. Okay, so 3960X at 5.15 gigahertz, and we have the most viewers during this entire stream. Okay, welcoming all the new viewers. On a R7-260X, the reason why I'm pushing so high memory clocks with the R7-260X is the R7-260X has a 128-bit memory bus. And that bottlenecks the card, which is why the 960, the GTX 960, in my opinion, is a stupid graphics card. It has also a 128-bit bus, but it's even faster than the 260X. Like, if the 260X is bottlenecked by a 128-bit bus, can you imagine what it does to a 960? Right? Like, this is terrible. It's freaking... No, you just don't do that. So, basically, I would never ever buy a 960. Or maybe I would, and then I'd do the same to the 960 as I did to this 260X. Except I can't afford a 960 and I don't like NVIDIA. Actually, that's a lie. I can afford it, but I don't like NVIDIA. So, yeah. I don't like the boost algorithm, I don't like their PCB quality, I don't like a bunch of things. Also, they don't scale with voltage. Which isn't me. I'm not. That's not something I made up. You can go look up Kingpin's article on how NVIDIA doesn't scale with voltage unless you drop it below 25 centigrade. So yeah. So you get really high clocks on like stock voltage, But basically above 1.25 volts it doesn't scale, and I'm just like, what? I'm about that voltage. And did it crash? No, the mouse is still moving, so that's all good. I really wish I had an SSD. Oh my god, why is it loading so long? Ugh. I wish I had a sponsor that made SSDs. Hell, I wish I had sponsors. Nah, that's actually a lie. I have sponsors. See? Cooler Master Cup. I have Cooler Master sponsoring me. Which is, like, I have to thank them. That power supply that they sent me is godsend. Because it's like my old power supply, I killed it. You can guess how I killed it. And basically without them I wouldn't have the... Like, I wouldn't be able to do this because I wouldn't have a power supply to run this. And it's still loading. I don't get this. Is it broken or something? I have 13 viewers live. Spells bad luck, this is gonna die. I'm having my doubts about this working right now. Can I Alt-Tab or something? Tab? Can I? Okay. This is not good. I think it crashed. But I can't tell because, you know, I can tell that the graphics card isn't under any load. And I think it just died. Yeah, the CPU just decided that it doesn't want to play. Great. Freaking perfect. Oh. Yeah. I don't care. As long as it starts up again, the CPU ain't dead. Well, it doesn't look dead to me yet. You know, I'm starting to, like, I ordered some new RAM today for a different build I have. And I'm sorry, people, we're not going to be... You know what? Fuck it. Screw this. I'm not going to be going slow. The stream should have finished. I got a score that's higher. And this CPU is going to probably die. And this RAM is terrible, and I don't have any sponsors, and if this dies, then I can't replace it. But just for you, my 14 viewers, just to show you how much I appreciate that you went and wasted your time sitting here. Or I don't know, I hope you had a good time, that's why I'm here. It's like everything I'm trying to do, make sure that you guys don't die of boredom. So, time to show what this CPU can do. So we're going to drop down to high, because that makes the LLC on this motherboard significantly more predictable. 15 millivolts boost and 35 millivolts maximum boost. So basically that means at idle we're running 15 millivolts above the voltage I set. At load we're running 35 millivolts above the voltage I set. And here we have the 15th viewer. Welcome, Mr. 15th viewer. Please stay. We're going to be running a CPU at 5.25 gigahertz maybe. And it might die. Have you ever wanted to see a CPU die? Well, you might get your chance today. I'm gonna cry. I still have enough money to buy a new one. And Mr. 15th viewer left. Or maybe somebody else did. Okay, you know what? We're not gonna... 5.25. This is 5.25. Right? This right there, that's 5.25 gigahertz. 5.25 set. Now, I'm going to make sure that the RAM isn't an issue, because I know the memory controller on this CPU is usually why the CPU keeps complaining. And I'm going to do all my voodoo magic in this BIOS that I know to make it work. So first of all, reduce DRAM voltage. Raise VCCSA, though actually that's really unsafe. So I'm going to keep the VCCSA somewhere reasonable. Raise that, put this to 1.2. The funny thing, VCCSA has this weird voltage which I can never get right. Sometimes it works below a volt, and sometimes it doesn't work under 1.2. Actually, let's go for the latter. Let's try if 0.95 will boot. Because it could boot, and if it does boot, then everything's great and amazing, and I don't have to be worried about anything freaking dying today. We're going to slow the RAM down, because, again, we need to lay off the memory controller, because the memory controller on this CPU is on its very, very last legs. Which means I'm going to retime this RAM manually. To 24, 12, 32... It's a little bit low. No, this should be 36, 12. No, this should be... This is really weird. This RAM should be running way lower. This motherboard has no idea what it's doing. 7, 8. There. Oh yeah, and these two memory channels are completely effed. These two timings, it's like, usually you wouldn't have to run them this ridiculously high up, but the memory controller on the CPU is dying, so they don't like being run low. Poor CPU. So here's all the voodoo magic. Hopefully Mr. CPU will survive. I'll pray for Mr. CPU. Well, you don't have to pray for him, but wish him luck. I don't know if there's an afterlife for CPUs. I'm certainly not going to CPU heaven after this, after I press reset after doing all of this. Oh, this crap could have been screwing with everything. That would make a lot of sense. -2. Now these are supposedly LN2 only settings, but they work for me as well. So we're just going to drop everything down like that. And now we're going to do more virtual. We don't need it, disable it. Adjacent line, we need that. Hardware prefetcher, need that. Disable that, that's a server thing. Active processor cores, Intel adapter, CPU power management configuration. Enable, disable, disable. Disable all of the power limiting everything. Today we dine in hell. What am I trying right now? 5.25 gigahertz on the CPU. At 1.7, not 1.7, but a lot of volts. Let's just put it that way. A lot of voltage for the fact that I'm only on water cooling. In theory, I should probably try hook up the chiller I have here, but I don't have the time for that right now. Save changes and reset. The moment of truth has arrived. Will it start? If it does start, well, the postcode LEDs are working. Now, considering how rarely these things freaking work, that might be a good thing and it might be a bad thing. I never know, because they never work. And we're running 1.63. Now, I did screw with a lot more settings than last time in the BIOS. I just did everything I know. Like, everything I know. If this doesn't work, oh, yay, we're booted! Oops, pulling that USB cable. You know, 3-meter USB cable hooked up to your webcam is a terrible way to do film. So 5.25 gigahertz. Here we go, people. Moment of truth, if it gets into Windows, hopefully it'll run Vantage. I wish I got paid to do this. But, you know, it's just like, why do I do this? Somebody asked me, why do I do this? Well, it's like, why do people race cars? Why does Formula 1 exist? It's a waste of gasoline, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of fast cars, and it kills a lot of, like, the drivers crash, and it kills people. And it just didn't start, so that's bad. But we got a good sign in that we actually got somewhere. It started up. It got almost to Windows, which means it's just a little bit more. A little bit more. We're almost there. I'm almost there. Almost there. And I'm going to get there. I don't give a damn. Going to loosen up that RAM even further. Not. I'm just going to change mode. This should help a little more in combination with the other settings that I've thrown in. Enable the extreme tweaking. Tighten up the voltage regulation. Damn it! Yeah. Tighten up the voltage regulation as much as I can. There. Power consumption on this motherboard right now is going out the window. No, it's not like everybody who races dies, but you know, it wastes, like, it's not... It's similar to overclocking in the fact that you take a machine and you push it to the limit. Nobody in overclocking dies. Only computers die. And it's like saying your brake pads get destroyed or engines get destroyed. Like NASCAR engines, they have to replace those engines almost every race. If you think of your CPU as the engine of your car, that sort of makes sense for that car racing analogy. And yeah, the dying thing, it was just like, that was a terrible, like, comparison. But basically, it's just like the killing of the hardware and pushing it to the very, very limit. Actually, racing engines are often built even to not, just straight up not last very long, because they rev so high. Like, Formula 1 engines rev up to 12k RPM, last I read. I'm not that well, I used to be into cars, but got out of that. And basically, those rev to 12k, and they don't last very long due to that. And I'm going to drop the LLC, because again, if that LLC just screws with me, then that's not good. Now, let's do this. This should be safe. 21 viewers. Well, looks like I figured out the optimum time to start doing my streams for next time. Yes, we got the BIOS! And we're running way too much voltage. Yeah, which is what I meant with the like, racing engines dying, so similar to overclocked CPUs dying. I mean, you have your normal overclocking, which would be like your day-to-day car tune-up, and then you have this. Then you have liquid nitrogen above this, which is like when you pour NOS into your car. What's the CPU? This is a 3960X. You thought Linus Tech Tips was dumb when they threw around a $4,500 CPUs? Like, literally just played with it? I'm dumber, because that was safe. Unlike this 3960X, which is basically an F me, why doesn't it want to start? Like, seriously, I'm at the... So, I'm going to try more VCCSA, because I need... Okay, and since we're already at 5.25 gigahertz, which I said we're not going to be doing, but we are doing it, and I said we're not going to do SuperPi or whatever. We are going to do SuperPi. Well, I am going to do SuperPi because SuperPi is freaking cool. And actually not full SuperPi, just there. So more VCCSI. Give it more PLL. So PLL is like an external loop in the CPU that basically stabilizes clocks. So it's like the multiplier drive. Why not get a $20 AMD chip for this? You don't want to know how... I had a collection of dead AMD CPUs. Then I turned them all into keychains. I'm going to have a... Yeah, not a 760K, I had a 750K. Yeah, the 750K, and that's half dead. The memory controller on that doesn't run one memory channel. I gave it 1.85 volts, thinking that it was an Intel. Well, thinking the same way you would with overclocking an Intel. Yes! It got through the first bubbles! Yes! Oh my god. Yeah, so basically half the memory controller on that 750K is dead. I have a dead A10 6800K. Right? I have a dead... Well, I don't have it. I made it into a keychain, gave it to a friend. I had a dead 370K, which I tried to delid, and it failed. I have a Actually, no, I just got a 7870K today, you know, the APU, and that's supposed to go into my 24/7 rig when I move to England for studying in college, university. So that CPU is just, oh my god, it's still pulsing. It still hasn't crashed. This is just like, oh, we're still at 1.665 volts, so we're still not at the point where the whole, I'm making the idiots from Europe, Central European overclocking idiot thing, legit. There's a stereotype on Hardware Bot about the Central Europeans pushing way too much voltage. But the, oh my god, it's still pulsing. Right, so what was I talking about? Right, so I have a 7870K, and basically the plan is I want to see how high that goes, because apparently it's a better power managed Kaveri chip, and I thought Kaveri's cool. Kaveri is really cool. And if the 7870K can get like 4.8 gigahertz, it can blow away all the FX air-cooled SuperPi scores, which is just awesome, right? But 4.8 gigahertz is still really high up, and 7870Ks built on the 28 nanometer process are way more fragile than what I like the process of processes for me, which is the AMD 32 nanometer SOE, which you see on the FX chips, like, and you see it on the 24/7 OC on that 7870K. I'm hoping for 4.6, 4.7 gigahertz, and 5 gigahertz benchable, but I don't think I'm gonna get that. I'm really unlucky with most CPUs. Like, the only two good CPUs I've gotten, no, I've gotten one good CPU, and that's this 3960X. 3960Xs that can hit 5 gigahertz are pretty rare. And also, I think Windows just died. Like, internally, it's looped. I think I'm going to restart it. And so, yeah, so the 7870K, I'm thinking like 4.6, 4.7, 24/7, and 4.9 to 5 gigahertz benching would be ideal. Because at 4.7 gigahertz, a 7870K will actually be only about 30% behind an Intel CPU. So at that point, it'll be like, it's not too bad. And I'm going to slightly underclock a little. I'm going to drop that voltage, and I'm sorry if you're hearing that really high-pitched whine. I'm sorry about that. There's just some interference in the circuitry around the basement where if they're pulling down the blinds upstairs, and basically it causes that high-pitched whine. I think I'm going to push more VCCSA. Ugh. Please, CPU, we need to do this before you die. What? No. The world record for overclocking was the FX8350, which went up to, and then, and actually now it's an 80. What? I don't care. I don't give a damn. Damn it, motherboard. Enable. There, that should just ignore the voltage error. Right, so the world record for CPU gigahertz is the FX8370 at 8.7 gigahertz. The highest I've ever gone in gigahertz is 6 gigahertz on the half-dead 750K. Actually, no, that was a 370K Athlon 2-core from AMD. And actually, if you want to get into liquid nitrogen, in my opinion, that's the best CPU to do it with, because it's 2 cores, it's easy to cool up and down, so it has low heat output, it has 2 cores, so plenty of fun, and more importantly, it's cheap. It's really cheap. It's like a $50 CPU, so you can kill them like, you know, left, right, and center. Well, not left, right, and center, but, you know, instead of, say, buying a $50 game, you can go and buy a $50 CPU every month, or something like that. Which is like, another thing is like, I have, like, my gaming rig is like insane, and it's like, the only games I play are like from 2004. I feel terrible, but then I do this, and I'm like, yes, I have 6 cores. Please boot. Boot? You know, if I had an SSD, this whole waiting for stuff to work. Cheapo seeing. Oh, it's a 370K Athlon. I'm gonna put it in the chat. 370K. Oh, so the 8350 got replaced. I mean 8370. That's odd, because I remember reading that the Stilt last held the record, but you know, I don't keep up with the frequency records that much. The world record for like CPU frequency is just a case of like buying 100 CPUs and then going through them. You buy 100 CPUs, you sort through them, and then you take the one which goes the fastest. Yeah, I know. Oh, I'm just going to quickly look up the CPU world speed record since we're already discussing it. Because I'm pretty sure... Huh, odd. According to Hardware Bot, it's still 8.72 gigahertz. Actually, while this is broken again... So, I'm just going to give up on that. I'm, like... If people like these kinds of streams enough, I think I might even be able to get liquid nitrogen for one of them. Because I do have the gear for liquid nitrogen. Also, with the 370K, the cool thing is you can get some really cheap motherboards, and they'll still run really well. Like I did, like my personal favorite is like you can go look up the review of the A80, what is it? A88X Pro from Asus. That's a really great motherboard for overclocking. It goes up to like 2 volts on the CPU voltage, and it handles RAM decently well if your CPU isn't half dead. I gave that motherboard an unfairly low score on the BIOS because the CPU was half dead, and at the time I didn't realize. But anyway, I do have liquid nitrogen gear. Right here, see? Liquid nitrogen pot. Freaking heavy as hell. Was like kilo maybe? But you know, if enough people want, if enough people turn up, if you all like spread the word that there's an idiot on Twitch. So if you all want to see liquid nitrogen, spread the word on Twitch. If I get a stream with 100 viewers one day, I'm doing liquid nitrogen on something. I don't know what yet, but whatever I have at the time. I wanted to do a liquid nitrogen on a 3-core Athlon, but the guy who provided me that Athlon is like, there's a problem with the Athlon he gave me, it's dead. And so he and me are in kind of like talks about getting that solved, and until that gets solved, that's a problem. I'm thinking the RAM is crapping out here, because if it was CPU, then it would be obvious. The CPU doesn't do that. So I'm just going to feed it more RAM, more RAM, more RAM. It's literally just 2 cores. Yeah, and it's AMD cores. You know, it's like even less than your usual cores. Like, you know what's great about that Athlon? Even on a stock cooler, I couldn't get it above, like the atrocious one, the really tiny one. I took the shittiest AMD stock cooler I could find. I have a collection of those as well. So I took the weakest, crappiest AMD stock cooler, and I threw the Athlon under that. It didn't get over 50 degrees. I couldn't get it over 50 degrees. I was trying my very hardest to get the CPU was running full load IBT at stock clocks 45 degrees. And it's so cheap. And it's based on the 32 nanometer process. So if you throw liquid nitrogen on it, it's just like you can put 2 volts into the CPU. You can put as much liquid nitrogen on it as you want, and it won't bug out, it won't crash, it won't do any of the things that most Intel CPUs do when you cool them too much. Which I might do an explanation on that in some other stream later. Maybe, I don't know, maybe make a proper video about that. I wanted to do a blog post, but believe it or not, I'm a terrible writer. Actually, you do believe it, because if anybody checked the link at the bottom of the video, in the video, not below the video, in the video, the Actually Hardcore Overclocking blog, if you ever read that, you know I can't write. And this is not booting. Is everybody else in the comments, like, bored? Yeah, actually, the 370Ks, so they sound like they would take OC really well. They don't OC really well. They're just really cheap, and they're FX chips, so you can feed them like on air with an FX CPU. You can go up to 1.7 volts, right? 1.7 volts, and you can go there. And basically, the CPU will go up to 5 gigahertz at 1.7 volts. And this is still not booting. You know what? How's this? I'm gonna pop 2 sticks of RAM out and see if the memory controller starts acting a little nicer. What? Oh, the Athlon also doesn't have an iGPU. The 370K doesn't have an iGPU. I'm gonna pop 2 sticks of RAM out. The RAM is actually running pretty. Nah, I'm just gonna pop them. There. So basically, it's like, oh, your CPU has a terrible memory controller that's half dead. What is the solution to your half dead memory controller? Less RAM. That always helps. No, it affects stability, but yeah, only A series AMD CPUs and the ultra low Athlon, Semprons, I think, or Athlons. And the core voltage doesn't affect clocks. It just allows higher stability, but I put an explanation somewhere on r/overclocking about why you raise core voltage. And if you just read that, it should basically explain everything. Huh. Okay, so I pulled 2 sticks of RAM. It should just boot right up. Six, 70, 96, B2. Okay, yay, we're booting 5.25 gigahertz again. Hopefully it'll get to Windows this time. Oh, this is difficult. Right. So how does it work with core voltage? I put an explanation on in the r/overclocking wiki. It should be there. And basically what you have is in your CPU you have transistors. Transistors have a gate. You put voltage on the gate, and by putting voltage on the gate it turns on. If you don't put it, the more voltage you put on the gate, the faster it turns on. And basically the clock inside your CPU is just a cycle. Right? It's a cycle that's not affected by voltage at all. That clock keeps running on its own, and it just hopes that the cores keep up with the clock because it synchronizes them. And if your transistors can't switch on and off before the clock finishes, you get the clock interrupt not received style errors, where the transistor is still on or still off when it should have finished its operation and the clock cycle has finished, right? So that's why you raise voltage. You raise the voltage and the transistors flip faster, which allows you to raise, which keeps you stable at higher clocks, right? Because the clock isn't actually on the transistors. They sort of just switch back and forth at their own frequency. I really don't know what the hell is wrong with this Windows install. This usually boots way, way faster. I'm wondering if there's some like safety feature that the motherboard is tripping. There's an LN2 mode jumper on the motherboard, but I'm not gonna... You know, I hate just showing you a Windows loading screen, so... Okay, I'm gonna enable LN2 mode, I think, from the BIOS. Which should be advanced. No, this is all set up properly. I can't remember. More devices, main, overclock tuner. There should be an LN2 setting somewhere here, but I can't remember where it is. Okay, you know what? I'm thinking why it doesn't want to boot is I'm running too much vCore, and it's complaining about the vCore. Disable that, full screen logo on. I'm thinking, okay, you know what, we're gonna give it more voltage and hope that for the best. What? What CPU is inside? Inside what? My main computer? That's a 3960X. The CPU currently getting murdered by me. By yours truly. Blah 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 CPU voltage error. Poor CPU. You know, the nice thing about AI Suit, that's like the only thing I like about AI Suit, is you can boot on low clock, then overclock the CPU in Windows, and you don't get this. But I don't have AI Suit installed, and I don't know, maybe this will install faster, like it might install faster than I can get this to work. But I don't know. And I'm all out of Coca-Cola. Damn it, my mouth is getting dry. Okay, well now we know it doesn't work. That's good. That's progress. And it's still booting, so the CPU is still alive. Which is incredible, to say the least. So, the error we just got looked like RAM to me, because when RAM crashes, it crashes like snap. And screw the memory controller. It's already half dead. Nobody's going to be worried if I kill it. Nobody's going to miss it. Okay, admittedly I completely messed with the memory timings and I don't actually have the proper 2 channels occupied, I just have the opposite ones. But let's give it 6. I think I broke the subtimings. Like the primaries are probably fine and I think I can do 180 like that. And I think I tightened... No, these are all looser. So here's the funny thing about tuning RAM. Tuning RAM is so incredibly hard because just because you make something higher doesn't make RAM run better. RAM is incredibly picky. And a lot of the time, looser timings don't mean running like that your timings will work. So I'm going to try tighten the RAM. I gave it more voltage and hopefully now it'll boot up. Like I have a set of OCZ RAM that is absolutely ridiculously hard to clock, and basically the hardness to clock is based off the fact that it doesn't scale with voltage. Above 1.75 volts, it's impossible to, no, around 1.8 volts and up, sorry, hit the camera, 1.8 volts up, it can't get stable. You can't do anything to make it stable. There is nothing on Earth you can do. And yeah, and latency is really important, which is why I recommend Crucial RAM basically all the time. Which is why I actually just bought some Crucial RAM, right? I just bought a bunch of Crucial Ballistics because Crucial RAM, you can get 888 timings at 2 gigahertz frequency pretty much 90% of the time, as long as you buy the Ballistics or Ballistics Elite. Ballistics Elite are better bins, and it froze. And it crashed again. You know, it'd be really great if we could actually see the error. Because depending on what it's telling me... Alright, so should I go over like how RAM works or something? I don't... So here's the thing, you want lower timings, because the timings tell you how many clock cycles it takes before your RAM does X. So here it says cast latency, which is column access strobe, and basically it means it's going to wait 10 clock cycles at 2 at 2.42 gigahertz, which is what we're running at. So it's going to wait, like, you know, that long. Yeah. Great. You know, I should have checked that this RAM plays well with the motherboard ahead of time and shouldn't have just assumed that it's going to work, but... You know, what can I say? Anyways, while this is trying to boot, does anybody feel like having an unboxing with me? I have a bunch of stuff that arrived today, and it seems like you all are a bunch of freaking awesome audience, and the audience is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and so I feel like, you know, like you deserve not to be bored. So, unboxing time. So everybody in favor of an unboxing, say yes or put a 1 in the chat. And basically, I'm going to wait for this to boot. This looks like it might finally start up. Or fail epically like it did before. Okay, everybody wants an unboxing. Yes, I get it. You want an unboxing. Let's get all this trash out of the way. Sorry for the incredible mess. Also, am I like blowing the microphone up on this? Really sorry about that. We're unboxing a bunch of stuff. I literally just got a shipment for a bunch of different projects. And you know what? Let's just do unboxings, since you're all a bunch of awesome people. So, sorry for the mess here, but this is probably the most space I can find in this horrible place. So, yeah, there is a poor unfortunate machine. Actually, I wonder which machine is more unfortunate. This poor APU AMD laptop that I'm torturing by running Open Broadcaster on it, or my unfortunate 3960X. So, which one, according to you guys, is worse off? Which one is getting tortured more? And here's the box of RAM. Is there RAM in it? Yes. Usually I carry around like 3 different types of RAM, but all of those 3 different types of RAM are currently in use. The blue stuff is currently in the system, and there's more blue stuff lying over there. Here's the R9 290X with a Sadon 120V cooler. This is the cheapest way. First of all, I'm sponsored by Cooler Master, so I'm trying to sell you a product here, but this is the cheapest way to water cool an R9 290X. So if you're, like, literally, it's zip ties, a Sadon, and a 70mm fan, and a little, like, some aluminum profiles, like, literally. As you can see, this aluminum heatsink right here, that's literally just, like, I went to the equivalent, the European equivalent of Home Depot called Hornbach, bought these aluminum profiles, chopped them up, and built my heatsink for the R9 290X there. So yeah, let's get unboxing. Sorry about the bloody mess. And, okay, that system just died again. So this will be interesting. Overclock and unboxing at the same time. Great. Happy that everybody's enjoying the bloody show. Alright, here's the actual stuff. So, there's a retailer in the Czech Republic that I absolutely freaking love because they have really great prices, and that's mostly because I'm like #1 customer in their whole place. Zip ties. I put zip ties on everything. There's zip ties on the R7 260X. There are zip ties everywhere. Also, a really cool, like a really good trick for like helping with cheap motherboards. If you're buying AM3 motherboards and you don't have a lot of money, and you buy a cheap one, like say, well, basically just buy a cheap one, and you find out the VRM is not sufficient for what you need, like it's overheating. Zip tie a 70mm fan onto that VRM. It helps so incredibly much. You won't even believe it. You can go from 4.5 gigahertz to 4.7 gigahertz. From 4.4, depending on how crap the motherboard, you can even go from 4.3. Because here's VRMs scale with temperature, like most semiconductors, except with VRMs it's odd. So here we go. Alright, so Crucial Ballistics RAM. This is a 1866 megahertz CL9 kit. So basically this is one of those kits I was talking about when I said I love Crucial Ballistics RAM. It does 2 gigahertz 88888. I'm not going to test that right now. I'm going to test that maybe in a different video. Though it would be kind of cool. But basically this is my favorite kind of RAM. It does 888 2000 at 1.65 volts. It comes stock at 1.5 volts, 999, 1866. That's the tightest 1866 memory you can get at 1.5 volts. Above 1.5 volts, you start getting stuff that is Samsung and more expensive memory chips, and you get Phoenixes, and you get all kinds of mess, and it's just like you don't know how it's going to clock. But these are very consistent in my experience, and I saw some people even get 2.4 gigahertz with this kind of RAM at 999. So I'm hoping for 2888 or 24 910 would be amazing. But you know, I don't know. These don't scale well above 1.8 volts. They scale up to 1.6, 1.7, but above 1.8, like 1.8 is about where they stop scaling. Sometimes earlier, sometimes later, depends on the memory chip, because you know, silicon lottery and all that. So let's get to the other stuff. Power supplies, because I'm building a bunch of systems. So this is probably going into my 7870K. Why did I buy this power supply? A, I'm sponsored by Cooler Master. B, I went and read a Johnny Guru review, and they were like, the 12-volt rail is pretty tight. And I'm like, well, that's all I really care about, so I bought one of these. And the build quality isn't too bad. They're really cheap, and it's the cheapest modular power supply I could get my hands on. So I was really happy with it. And yeah, these are a good option. Cooler Master used to make really, really terrible power supplies. Like, really awful. Like, I would never ever use a Cooler Master. And I've been on the edge about buying these for ages and ages, and then I read that review and I was like, yeah, I'm buying these. And you can go check out that review at johnnyguru.com, right? And then this one is going into the fan testing rig. So if you watch my blog, which again is in the bottom of the video, you can go and read those fan reviews whenever I get, which should be soon, because I'll be installing this and I can bring the fan review system with me everywhere now. And for fan reviews, I have this dongle that I made out of an external hard drive power supply. So yeah, so those are power supplies, and then the rest. So as we all know, AMD APUs love really fast RAM, so we have more RAM. I'm kind of addicted to RAM, even more so than to voltage, arguably. So this is 2.4 gigahertz Kingston HyperX Beast. I bought this because it was the cheapest RAM I could find. Literally, the cheapest 2400 megahertz I could find. And the timings aren't amazing. I think it's like CL11, 13, 14 or something. I can't see it on the modules right now. Yeah, they didn't list it on the modules. Oh my god, these might be T13. That's new. I've never seen that before. But anyways, some RAM. I'm going to be overclocking this too. I expect it to be Phoenix ICs. So basically that's going in with my APU system. And here's the 7870K. Man, this CPU is in for a hard time. I've killed more AMD CPUs than I've killed any other CPUs, mostly because I don't have any other CPUs to kill. No, but this one can't die because I kind of want to keep it. So obviously you get the CPU here. Yeah, and actually if you want to see, I have a box which sort of illustrates what kind of situation I'm in. See this box? It's labeled AMD CPUs. Can anybody, like, oh, it's pretty obvious why it's labeled AMD CPUs. I have so many AMD CPUs, I had to get a box to keep them all. So right now, this is the bad Athlon, the one that doesn't work. This straight up doesn't boot 90% of the time. I'm not sure why. I'm trying to get it RMA'd with the seller. He is being uncooperative, to say the least, and he was supposed to be sponsoring me, so I don't know. If he solves that, if he figures that out, I'll love it, because his store stocks ancient AMD CPUs that you can't buy any longer. And you know what's better than new AMD CPUs? The old cheap ones. So yeah, and then here's two cases from other AMD CPUs. So one of them is the 750K, which I think is buried in a motherboard somewhere. The other is an 8320E, which was inside... No, this one's from the Phenom, and one of them's from an 8320E, and the 750K is buried in a motherboard somewhere here, because I lost the casing for it. So yeah, I have a lot of AMD CPUs. Yeah, and this looks like they packed the good AMD heatsink with it. So actually, let's do a proper unboxing here, because this was more like an unpacking your freaking shopping bag, not an unboxing. So let's unbox this. I'm going to try not... I really hate this, like... I have a thing for collecting stickers, and these AMD stickers, it's like you can't get them. Can't get them, and you break them every time you open the box. It annoys me to no end. They look kind of cool compared to all the other stickers that I have. There. Through that. Okay. These boxes are like... When AMD still shipped in metal boxes for the FX series, that was cool. You know, the tin cans? That was like premium packaging right there. It's like you can make a good paper box like Razer, or you can just go straight up metal. Right, so you get your chip, your A series sticker. These should clock significantly better than 7850Ks. I'm hoping for that. Counting on that. So yeah, and then here we have, and it is exactly the cooler that I wanted. Because I didn't actually buy a cooler for the CPU, because I was just counting on AMD. What? Builds with what? Liquid, give you, catch fire. I do have an 1150 Mobo, and I'm actually building a tech chiller. Yeah, no, the 7850K was, by comparison to most AMD chips, absolutely goddamn terrible. I mean, stock 4 GHz on the 8315, you could get some of them to 5.2, 5.6, if you were really lucky. Yeah, so you get the good AMD heatsink. This thing is not bad. Like, seriously, this is not a bad air cooler. Like, you can overclock on this. The aluminum bricks, which you usually get with AMD, don't overclock on those, but this is fine. This is really great. So this is rated at 95 watts. Which I have the equipment, like I plan to get the equipment to measure directly CPU power draw, which is useful for calculating like heatsink capacities and tech capacities and a bunch of other stuff. And that equipment is not really that expensive, but it's kind of a pain to get because there's like one store which sells it. And again, I have to like, I have like 5 different projects really opened up. Do what? Kill G3? Great. So, yeah. So basically, current measuring equipment, I can get that. And then I'll test if the CPU really is 95 watts TDP. With AMD, the TDP, actually with most CPUs, the TDP is power draw at a very specific temperature. So for AMD, that's 70 degrees in my experience. At 70 degrees, an AMD CPU will consume its TDP in power. And I ran an FX 6350 with a R9290, not the 290X. When I was still running Crossfire, I would move the graphics card around a lot. Right, so there's the my next CPU for my next build, and more overclocking to come with it. Oh right, I packed it up wrong. Which way does this go? Well, now I'm confused. Screw this, I'm just throwing it in the box. Yeah, but I do have an wait, damn it. Let's look at me for a bit, since I don't have anything interesting to show you other than my face. So I do have an 1150, LGA 1150 motherboard, and it's I'm planning to do a tech cooler build so that I can do sub-zero Haswell on it. I have a 4790K from a website called Silicon Lottery. They pre-bin Intel CPUs for you. So if you want to buy a, like say what I did, I bought a 4.8 gigahertz 4790K from them. I have yet to test the chip, but Guru 3D reviewed their product and they bought a 5 gigahertz chip and they got 5 gigahertz. So I'm kind of on the side of like, yeah, sure, trust them. Let's finally get this bloody thing working. Right, so basically if you want, you can get pre-bin CPUs from Silicon Lottery. And I have a project that I'm building thanks to their support of me. They gave me a small sale. And it looks like this. So I do have an LGA 1150 motherboard. This is not a good motherboard, by the way. It's probably one of the worst overclocking motherboards there is. But it has voltage read points. So that was basically the only reason why I bought it. Cheap and voltage read points. I could have gotten what I much more wanted was a gigabyte, but that was used and that ended up failing, so yeah. Meanwhile, Windows will finally boot, maybe, hopefully. You know, I feel terrible for you guys. I promised an R7 260X on this show, and So far you've just been looking at me holding boxes, opening boxes, and no R7 260X. So there's the R7 260X. And I think this ran out of power. Oh, no, I turned it off. Okay, go. That's the... Still booting. 1150 Sly. I need a new mother. I don't review Intel motherboards. They're too expensive. Go buy some. Go buy AMD. No. For Sly, 1150. Buy the cheapest motherboard that supports SLI. That's my advice. Just buy the cheapest motherboard that has Sly support written on it. Because with Z97, Z87, with all of LGA 1150, the VRM does not matter. Thanks to Intel's fully integrated voltage regulator, your VRM feeds the chip 2 volts, right? 2 volts, which is way more than you'd really ever feed a normal CPU. And I really need to tune this microphone after this. Actually, I plan to next stream. I'm going to figure out something to get a microphone just mounted straight to my face. Yeah, on my face. So with LGA 1150, you have the FIVR, the fully integrated voltage regulator, which means your VRM on your motherboard feeds the CPU 1.8 to 2 volts, and it just doesn't matter thanks to that, because your CPU needs 100 watts. You take 100 watts divided by 1.8 volts. What do you get? You get Skylake moves the voltage regulator back off the die. So Skylake's going to be different, and it's also on a different socket. It's on 1151. AMD can survive off of my consumption of AMD CPUs alone. Like, seriously, don't worry. I'm gonna keep AMD running. I buy the only graphics cards I buy AMD because cheap and they're easy to volt mod. And bloody hell, this just won't boot. This is really odd. I've never actually tried booting 5.2 gigahertz direct. I just know it ran 5.2 gigahertz from the system. So it's getting towards 11 here. I don't know how it's wherever you guys are. Benefits of streaming from Europe. The European guys are okay-ish with the time, and the American guys are probably okay-ish with it as well. And I specifically choose weekends to make sure that I annoy you guys as little as possible. Right. And now it's completely crapped out. Great! The system just completely gave up. Well, this is bad. So, I'm going to reset the BIOS. Start the system. Huh, looks like the CPU is still alive. You know what's better than a CPU that clocks high? A CPU that doesn't die when you're an idiot. I don't know. So, what's the deal here? Wait, 7850. Oh, graphics card. all day and all night. Oh my god. You sir are an MVP, but I'm not going to go that long. It's I want to fix my sleeping schedule. It's not okay that we're doing, but this looks awesome. Gee, I've never been this at the start of these streams, I'm super nervous that I'm gonna screw up the time and the system's not gonna work. But you guys are freaking awesome. Just want to give a shout out to everybody just watching here. And by the way, the CPU is still alive. It is still alive. Now, if my voice wasn't shot from talking straight for 3 hours without any drink for the last 1 hour, I might even sing Still Alive. I might even sing Still Alive, but I don't want to embarrass myself on stream yet. Also, message you on... Jesus Christ, people, what it lives. What, right now, yeah, right now it's just reset completely. Okay. So we all know that I beat 3D Mark Vantage and not by enough to make it significant. Maybe 5 gigahertz. I think it'll still run 5 gigahertz. Actually, you know what I'm thinking? I'm gonna I'm thinking I'm gonna shut the system down, and we're gonna do something cool. Did I swap BIOSes? No, I didn't swap BIOSes. That's the best thing about having a dual BIOS motherboard. You don't have to worry about retiming your stuff. So we're just gonna pull the RAM here. And let's go prove if my big mouth was correct about this. Let's go on an adventure with some new RAM. I really like ballistics RAM, and hopefully I'm not gonna cut my hand up on this box. I hate the bloody RAM blister packs. Like, I've been thinking of getting a suitcase to carry around my RAM collection. I've also been thinking about doing a suitcase computer because I'm sick and tired of laptops. So, there we go. You can't I wouldn't have a problem with buying an expensive laptop, but my problem with buying a laptop is you can't overclock them. It takes all the fun out of it. And actually, I really tried really hard to overclock the laptop I have right now, but that's basically how I broke the AMD driver on them for the 4th freaking time. So I've given up on that. When I first had it, it worked, and I think I need to like reinstall Windows and something because it did once work. It was once overclockable. But since then, it's just been behaving weirder and weirder and weirder, so I've sort of given up. There we go, got the RAM open finally, and didn't saw myself to pieces. These heat spreaders, like, I would have bought Elite sticks, not Tacticals, but unfortunately Elites aren't available in my country, at least not on a reasonable, like, date, and I'm moving from this house to another house because I'm trying to get my driver's license. So, and I'm doing it in a different city because there it's like less messed up, like it's easier for me to go to the driving school and everything. So yeah, and I get to hang out with some relatives. So, there we go. It's one stick in. Get the other stick in. Let's see if I was correct about those 2 gigahertz on 888. Bloody mosquito. Ah, got him. There we go. Let's get this ramming. And hopefully, if this does 2 gigahertz 888, then we can just bench right off the bat 5.25 gigahertz. And this will actually be simpler because this CPU does not like running high multiplier. So reset BIOS, start the system up. Now let's go back. So here's the thing about this CPU. It doesn't like high multiplier. What I mean by that is like when you have an Intel. So, well, RAM bad. Yeah, RAM is crap. That RAM was terrible. Well, it's not crap, but it's like, it's really low-end PSC. And on some systems it does... Totally my thoughts about summer. But I like winter for more reasons than just like not overheating PCs. I snowboard a lot, and it's just like, you can't snowboard in summer. I mean, apparently you can snowboard in deserts on the sand, but you know, that just sounds stupid. That just sounds like, oh, it's already freaking hot. Let's get hotter. Okay, so 5 gigahertz. Let's see if I was correct about this RAM being magical. Because it should be. It should be. So we already have our 99927, 88824. 1T. Yeah, I'm going in hard. 1.65, and now I'm either going to fail epically or not fail epically. And 0.95, and I'm just going to run it safe from here. Because I know how the system behaves at like this setup. I ran these sort of settings for longer than I ran the other settings for benchmarking. So let's put 1.485 again. And actually, that's interesting. 1.485 shouldn't be boosting that high voltage, but I don't know. Let's drop this. Sound is cracking if you yell too loud. Yeah, I'm aware of the sound cracking, but it's like, I don't know. There's not much I can do about the microphone right now. There's no volume controls. With like OBS has volume controls, but there's not a lot of options for them. At least as far as I can tell right now. I don't know. I'm gonna try quickly fix it or something. Oh wait, I know. I'm gonna set it through Windows. Oh look, the FPS is back to normal. And now I'm gonna break them again. Keep you interested. There, mouse moving on the screen. Recording. There we go. Properties. Levels. There we go. I'm gonna drop it to there. Is that better? Okay, no more cracking, I hope, because basically now I can't yell hard enough for this. There we go. Okay, I set the microphone levels lower in Windows. Hopefully it'll stop cracking, because what was happening is OBS was hitting the limits. Man, my voice is freaking powerful. So yeah, I don't know. Do you want a little bit of backstory to like my other interests than just murdering computers in the most horrible ways possible? Okay, so there we go. Murder rig. What do you do? What do I do? I'm a student. Don't ask how I get access to these freaking parts. So a bit about me. So my name, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm Czech. I went to an international school for basically all of my life. I've lived in the Czech Republic all of my life, but I can actually speak English better than I can speak Czech. You know what I'm really happy about when I get to college? They have oscilloscopes. Like that's the one thing I've really wanted to get my hands on, a freaking oscilloscope. You know how expensive those things are? You get a crappy one for like freaking... You can buy a graphics card for the price of a really terrible oscilloscope. So I'm just like, I need an oscilloscope. So yeah. Hi, no, we'll try. Right, so in my other interests, I like to snowboard, which I've already said. What else? Right, I know how to code some Java. Nothing amazing. I just took a course at high school. I'm not really that interesting. I just spend a lot of time on the computers. Man, my life is sad. Hey. Okay, so... No, but in my other interests, I really like heavy metal music. Like, really heavy metal, like, you don't even want to know. And actually, I'm trying to, like, sing, like, I'm trying to write my own, but... Snowboarding is great. Great practice for sitting down in the snow. I don't do that much because I have a brother. I have a brother who skis with us, right? And whenever I sit down, he does this like he like breaks snow right on my back. So it's like he's the world's biggest douchebag ever. Like I once fell over, right? I like totally wiped out on this one slope in Austria. Just like wrecked myself completely. I ended up head down the slope, right? So not even sitting, like that hurt like hell. My back was aching from that. And I sit up, right? And the first thing I see behind me, my freaking brother coming right at my face. So so I flip him off. I flip him off, and he sprays snow all over me. Just completely covers me in snow. And it's just like, what the hell? I just crashed, right? Right? I just crashed, and he sprays me down with snow. And I'm just like, worst brother ever. Yeah. Okay, so this should boot. So let's check out that RAM. Well, the system's booting. That's great. I don't know. Can I leave you people here so that I can go get a drink? I love ballistics RAM. This is gonna boot, like, give it There. Blue light. And BIOS screen. See? This is why I love ballistics RAM. Absolutely my favorite freaking RAM. So right, Windows 7. Start Windows normally. Back in 5 minutes. Guys, you underestimate my running speed. I'll be here before the system boots, probably. If I'm not, I'll tip whoever, no. Whatever. Okay, I'm back. And I did beat the system because the system isn't booted. It crashed. Okay, that's CPU. Yeah, but single stick isn't as good as two stick. You don't want single stick RAM. It clocks worse. Well, no, it times worse. I'm back. CPU's not booting. So that's like every day. All day, every day, my CPU ain't booting. Okay, we're gonna do this like... I'm gonna give it more voltage here. Probably that's the problem. Okay. So I have my drink again. System is booted. You know, it'd be funny if it actually turned out that just Windows crapped out and not my computer. That would be like completely up my alley. Where it's like I keep trying to fix it, I keep trying to fix it, I keep trying to fix it, and then I find out America is screwed. Well. Holy crap, it booted. Man, I've been running that LLC setting into the ground today. So, here we go. Proof that 2 GHz 888 is doable on pretty much every Crucial kit you can ever get. Okay, people, and I was thinking, I'm gonna go, what's the CPU running? 5 GHz. I never settle. Not even when the system wants to die. No, but the funny thing is this CPU really prefers running that 125 MHz BCLK than the 100 MHz BCLK, especially pushing 5 GHz, because then you can run a low multiplier like 40, and 40 is much more stable. And so now that we're finally in the freaking system, memory. There we go. 3960X. Wait, which model? What's the which model question? I don't even know what's going on in my stream any longer. I leave for a couple minutes and everything's weird. Right? I don't know if you can see it, but that's 2 GHz. 888. Never settle? No, never settles for AMD, damn it. AMD is never settle. Never settle forever. Does anybody, have you guys watched the Fixer videos? I know they get like a lot of hate, but I love them. Like, I absolutely love the completely tongue-in-cheek, stupid comedy of the AMD Fixer videos. They're absolutely hilarious in my opinion. But then again, my sense of humor is freaking terrible according to most people. At least according to my brother. But then again, my brother's a douchebag. So right, now that we're actually finally in the system, let's do Vantage. And let's do Vantage in such a way that it doesn't freaking die. So LOD's set up. Oh, I forgot D3D Overrider. So D3D Overrider is a utility that overrides your direct 3D settings. And basically, if you're tweaking with it, you got this menu, and you set it to high, and then you force triple buffering. And that is a basic tweak that gives you extra FPS. And then you can just close this, and you can be happily on your way to benchmarking goodness. So, new RAM. Hopefully we might get a higher physics score. Let's get that 3D Mark Vantage. Jesus, I'm a terrible person. I say I do 3D Mark Vantage, I'm going to get through 2 runs in this day. The graphics card is still volt modded to halfway to death. Everything's going to die today. And death for all should be like the motto of my blog. Or the stream. I don't know. If I had more sponsors, I'd be... Like, if these streams get big enough and I get more sponsors and it's just like, you know, get into overclocking. Like, and I don't even need sponsors. If you guys just like, maybe, I don't know. I have some plans. Hopefully get big. So right, 1.44 gigahertz, 8 gigahertz RAM. What? A $2,000 Mac. Oh, why would you get a $2,000 mechanical keyboard? What the? Well, Vantage is working. Ah. I hope. There we go. Working! And meanwhile, I'm going to go get AI Suite for this. Oh, that. Is it dead? No, it's just loading. Don't you just love when your computer black screens because it's loading Direct 3D? Actually, you guys don't... Does anybody here go into competitive overclocking? 2K HDMI cable. Oh yeah, so cool. So more about me. My dad is like a hardcore audiophile. Alright? Super hardcore audiophile. He has cables that cost more than my computer. Yeah, they're like pure silver. But admittedly, he has like 5 kilowatt amps that are like 20 years old. So, like, 5 kilowatt, because they don't make those any longer. They're super inefficient. They pull in 5 kilowatts, they put out 750 watts. You know, there is, if you want to get into the competitive scene, sorry if I keep jumping around and replying to like the chat at random in the videos. I do that because basically the chat is delayed with what I'm actually doing at the time, right? So, yeah, so if you want to get into competitive overclocking in a scene where you don't have to worry about getting your ass completely handed to you, go on HardwareBot and sign up for a Rookie Rumble. Their competitions happen monthly. What robots? Bloody hell, I'm gonna... You know what, I give up on the chat for today. It's way too late, I can't do this much. And I'm all out of USB ports. Oh well, screw me. Yeah, but you know, 5 seconds is enough to make me sound like a blubbering idiot. Or an ADHD kid. And the computer just crashed. Now that was a system service exception. On the benchmark, are they not robots? Alright, actually, you know what's funny? I wanted to enable the Twitch low delay streaming because I know I want to really figured I'd be interacting a lot with the chat. And funny thing, it does, like, I can't make it work. It doesn't work if I try to run it. I don't know why. So that was a system service exception, which is odd. Because I shouldn't be... Oh, bloody spreads. Spread spectrums. Seriously, I don't get why those settings even exist on most motherboards. They should be just defaulted to disabled and not even an option. Like, I don't even know what they do. I just know they're bad. I don't actually know anything about overclocking. I just do stuff because I know it works, which is why I run so much voltage. No. I do actually. I do quite a bit of science for this stuff. Execute disable bit. Right, disabled. Damn it! I'm like slowing down. Disable. 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 Save changes and reset. Yeah, it crashed. Okay, here's the plan for the rest of the stream. One last run of 3D Mark Vantage with the current settings, and see you next Saturday, hopefully. Looks like the graphics card crapped out. Oh, Rookie Rumble. You can just run anything, I think. You just basically, I'm pretty sure you can run any hardware. You just can't run liquid nitrogen or any kind of exotic cooling. Oops, wrong mouse again. Okay, so the GPU is on its last leg. Is actually, CPU might be too. No, this is like, a lot of this overclocking when you do it live without pre-testing the system like a ton, like really a ton, to the point where you're like sick and tired of rebooting the computer, especially if you don't have an SSD like me. Unlike me. No, wait. I'm not that great at English. I'm sorry, it's 11:16. I've been talking for 3 hours now. I can't think any longer. Thinking is too hard. Plus, I've been trying to run 2 computers and reply to a chat. It's just like, this is stressful. But it's fun. I'm enjoying this. You're obviously enjoying this. Alright, so Rookie Rumble. Right, what was I doing? Right. Motherboard doesn't want to boot because freaking GPU doesn't want to work. Let's drop that generation down and core volts. Should just boot 0.95. Let's see this. I don't have a YouTube channel. I've been thinking about making one. If you haven't, you have to start one explaining overclocking. Also, while we're all still here, I want to ask you, how interested would you be in, like, really terrible humor? Because, I don't know, like, Uh, I have a friend who might even have an arguably worse taste in humor than me, who finds, like, when I do this, wait, my voice isn't ready for this right now. But he finds it absolutely freaking hilarious when, like, I growl through an explanation for some reason or something. Right? So I was wondering, it's like, if I do a YouTube channel, I want to do something special. I don't want to be just another freaking YouTube channel about overclocking, even though there aren't that many of them. Terrible humor is pretty good. Okay, no, but basically, my friend is like, you know, you should totally talk over everything in this voice, because it sounds freaking awesome, right? And so I was thinking, maybe when I was explaining something, I could talk it all through this like really growly voice, you know, except I'd be actually prepared for it then, instead of this. And now I've just lost every freaking viewer. Driver, that's RAM. That just popped up, that's RAM. OMG. OMG, it's Batman. Dude, I'm not Batman. I'm totally not Batman. I mean, you know, Batman couldn't afford a 390. Oh wait. I guess Batman could afford all of this. Yeah, so, when your computer beeps out something like this, what you gotta do is you gotta raise the core voltage. Now don't tell me you're going over some safe voltage limit. We all know that safe voltage limits are for giant pussies. So you just keep raising that voltage. And when your CPU's on fire, you keep raising that voltage. And if you're at 12 volts and it's still not doing what you want it to, you just keep raising that voltage. And once you run out of voltage on your PSU, you go and you stick your CPU right into that 220 volt outlet. And that's when you get the best overclocks. Or I can also do this! Wait, I can't, because my voice is broken right now. I can go pretty high pitched. Okay, so right now that was a RAM error of some kind, and I dropped the VCCSA really low, so I'm thinking VCCSA crapped out. And I'm also thinking how stupid I am. And just kill it on stream. I killed it by delidding. But you know, if you get me a 370K, I'll take it. I'll throw it on my good motherboard and massacre the crap out of that shit. And that's when the temperatures keep raising that voltage. Oh god. Oh god. I did not think that would be successful. But my god, you people have some terrible taste in humor. Or maybe my brother was wrong all along. I hope my brother was just wrong. Blade? Yeah, I tried to do the blade, except I'm really impatient. And unlike Intel CPUs, the AMD CPUs, I actually should have the chip somewhere here. I can show you. Okay, well I can't find the CPU, sorry about that. Yeah, basically AMD chips have really tiny SMD components really close to the lid. So when you try to delid them, and you're not, like, gentle, which I'm not, then you're gonna kill them. So yeah, RIP 370K. Okay, well, hopefully this will boot. I'll get in that last run. F to pay respects. I can't believe that caught on as a bloody, like, reference. It's just, like, so random. So y'all who find these bloody streams hilarious, and me entertaining, or whatever else why you want to watch this, solder a heatsink to a delided chip. Well, let's say you had an Intel factory, then you could solder a heatsink to a delidded chip. Yes, you could. Actually, I remember some crazy German guy who has a YouTube channel, but it's mostly dedicated to repairing PlayStation 3s. The crazy German guy has a freaking YouTube channel, and he does a delidding video for a and get this, he does a delidding video for an i7 920. So a 920 has a soldered IHS. How would he do it? So what he did was he took the 920, he put it on his stove, and he has the most hilarious accent. And it's not his stove. Yeah, on his stove. He put it on his stove. Now he's German, but hilarious accent. And he's like, you put the chip on oven. Oven. You put your chip on the oven. And I can't oven. Yeah, something like that. He pronounced it oven or something. And basically, you put the CPU on the oven, where he had the stove, not the oven. And he heated the chip up to the point where the solder melted, and he delidded the chip. And that worked great. So, yeah, delidding a soldered CPU is doable. Right, so, yeah, so you can delid a soldered CPU. So I imagine if you tried to reverse that process, you could solder an IHS to a delidded CPU. Yeah, no Nazi jokes, please. Just, like, don't. I mean, I don't care. I'm like, I'm a heathen. I'm offensive as hell. I'm probably going to hell. That's if I believed in it. But yeah. Please, no Nazi jokes. Put CPU on the oven. Put CPU IHS. I can do a Russian accent occasionally. That's mostly because I'm Czech. But I can't do a Czech accent. Like 3-second stream lag. Your internet is really good. Yes, my internet is really good. Unfortunately, it's kind of unreliable. Sometimes it just drops out. Right. 3D Mark Vantage. Guys, you're like wearing me down here. Give me a break. Give this poor CPU a break. We're finishing up. These are final rounds. I'm all out of drink again. But I don't know. Empty cup toast to the end of the stream. Praise Cooler Master, my sponsor. Buy their stuff. You know you want to buy their stuff, right? This is totally not a subliminal message. Buy Cooler Master. Buy Cooler Master. Buy Cooler Master. You know, I think I'm off the deep end at this point. Too much sugar and not enough sleep. Ugh. Nah, the stream lag seems to be pretty high, but it goes up and down like whack. And also my FPS on the freaking encoding is terrible. I'm finally gonna sit down. You know what's a really stupid thing you can do? Go to a metal show, right? And then decide that you're gonna stand not enough sugar. No, you don't want me on more sugar. You really don't want to see me on more sugar. But, right, so I'm really tired at this point. My legs are killing me. The thing isn't loading again. I need an SSD. Why is it not loading again? Buddy, freaking hell. What did I do wrong this time? What? Stand next to the speakers? Stupid thing at metal show? No, stand for 8 hours waiting for your favorite band to come on. Me and my friends we were at Rock am Ring, right? The big German rock festival. Biggest in Europe for rock. Not biggest festival, but definitely for rock music and metal music, it's the biggest. And we decided we were going to get onto Frontline on Slipknot. A great idea. Great commitment. And when we saw the amount of people turning up for the bands before Slipknot, we were like, we're standing here from... So Slipknot was playing at midnight. And we decided to stand there from 4 o'clock. Right? We decided we were going to stand there from 4 o'clock to 12. My legs hurt like hell after that. But it was totally worth it because I got to be 5 people away from the bloody barrier and I almost got to, like, shake hands with Corey Taylor. And it looks like it crashed again. I don't know. Why isn't it working? I think the graphics card is actually a problem now. I'm going to drop the GPU a little. Drop that GPU. Hyper 212 Evo. For what would you need an Hyper 212 Evo? Yeah, that's the biggest problem I have with the 212. The 212 is 160 millimeters tall. What's a really good alternative to the Hyper 212 is the... If you're in Poland, which I bet you are, is look up Silentium PC and the Farah. Before you give up on... I'm not going to give up on life. Well, you know, I'd have to be alive to give up on life. Yeah, the 212, it's like, compared to... Oh, it's loading! Okay, so it was all a graphics card issue. You know what? I think the why not just get an AIO? Thanks, though. Oh, the subliminal messages. Right, on the topic of that. Though I do think if you want to water cool your GPU like redneck style, then get a Sadon. And the benchmark is finally running. And I'm so freaking tired. Just so freaking tired. When is it gonna stop? It's all this overclocking and more voltage, more gigahertz. I'm gonna die here in a basement. Somebody let me out. This poor CPU. This poor GPU. Actually, this is the only second time I'm watching this benchmark, so I'm not gonna die yet. Final run. Hopefully we get a higher score. The monitor must have hit 3 gigahertz. Well, depending on which refresh rate you're talking about, it might be running 3. No, actually no. I don't know enough about monitors. They just show pretty pictures. They don't run benchmarks. Screw that. I just realized this benchmark is like 10 minutes long. Hello, PCMR. Alright, PC Master Race. Right. Damn it. Did it just crash, or is that the end of it? Okay. So the benchmark just crashed again. Oh, temps? Like, I don't even care about the temps. I quit. That was a bad pool header. I don't even know what a bad pool header means any longer. I think it's RAM. Like 90% of errors are RAM. Just guarantee you, it's RAM. And it's probably got to do something with the timings. You know what? No, because then I'll lose physics points. But it doesn't scale off of physics. It doesn't scale off of physics. The guy with the 5960X was freaking cheating with the physics. I'm gonna break his freaking... I'm gonna slash his ass with... Oh, no, I'm not gonna go there. Not going there. Not today. Not today. 4.5 gigahertz is an overclocker. Doesn't check temps. You know, there is one reason why you would check temps, and that is when you have a bad cooling system. I solved the whole check your temps with a very simple solution. My cooler is bigger than the graphics card it's cooling. Almost. Oh, actually, I've been thinking about doing like a. I'm a pretty bad drawer, right? But I can draw. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be kind of funny if somebody did like these hand-drawn overclocking comics? And like the first thing that hit me was a time machine joke. Can anybody in the chat guess what the time machine joke with overclocking would be? Actually, I just gave it away. Damn it. Somebody else can go steal that. Ah. People, cut me some slack. I'm not a native English speaker. Oh god, I'm getting British accent. I used to go to a British school. Sending the heat back in time. Actually, that's wrong. That's not the actual joke, but... I'm gonna draw it, and you'll find it on my blog. I'm gonna put it on my blog, and you can all go enjoy it there. Again, blog is down in the bloody there, that link. My giant finger is above the link. There. I heard freezing times. Okay, so last time we found out GPU is dying. That was a bad pool header. That was probably VRAM. So I'm gonna put some, yeah, I'm gonna put some totally dank comics. Okay, people, cut me some overclocking a Mac. I thought Time Machine was... No, that's not it either. Look, just go to the blog. I'm gonna post it tomorrow. You people are horrible. Okay. Jesus Christ, we're going so far over time. You know, the original plan for this stream was going till 10 o'clock. That was an hour and a half ago. Ugh. The thing about overclocking, why I like PCs so much more than consoles, now that somebody brought up consoles again. You can play games on a console. You can also play games on a PC. However, you cannot play games with a console. You can with a PC. It's called benchmarking, and it looks like this. And that was really dumb. Now I'm going to be a laughingstock for the rest of the internet. But anyways, thanks to all you people who've been here for most of the stream. This will hopefully finish. It will hopefully not fail. And... yeah. One 3D Mark. Try run 3D Mark Fire Strike Ultra on a console. Do you know what that would do? It would crash. It would run out of RAM so fast you wouldn't even believe it. So assuming we can finish one stage of this, I think it's just going to finish all of them. I still haven't figured out that... I haven't been watching this benchmark carefully enough, or I'm just way too freaking tired because I still haven't noticed the skirt zoom. And we're dropping viewers here, so I think I'm boring all of you to death again. And it crashed. Same error as before. Okay, y'all, we're down 7 viewers. It's 11:37. Yep. I realized it just crashed at the same spot. And I dropped the CPU clocks too. I was just like, nothing goes right for me today. Right. So, that's a RAM error. So, DRAM timings, I think we're just gonna run 898. Because that's usually more stable than, you know, like a 888. Let's save them changes and reset. And let's hope for the best. And after this, a quit. Platform. I'm overclocking on X79. It's a 3960X. 6 cores. At 4.5 gigahertz. It was doing 5 and 5.25 earlier in the stream, but that kept going all over the freaking place, except running. And what else? Right, yeah, so X79, R7 260X graphics card. It is still the fastest ever. Yeah, I swap out the RAM all the freaking time. I'd also swap out the CPUs if X79 CPUs weren't freaking expensive. Most of my AMD motherboards have experienced at least 3 different chips, except for my Sabertooth, because I installed a Fantex cooler on that thing, and that Fantex cooler has the most terry bad mounting system I've ever seen. And I'm getting more smarter as this progresses. So right now we're on a Crucial Ballistics kit running 2.8. Did it just crash again? Too bad. You know what? I quit. I quit, people. I quit. So this is Buildzoid. I'm actually hardcore overclocking. This horrible, lanky, skinny, way too young guy to be doing this. Oh, come down here, camera. There's my system. And this is the... Yes. Victory to the electrons. So, I'm sorry, the stream is ending here. I will be doing another one. Sometime, I don't know when, actually. You can just go on my blog if you vote on the when you want to see the next stream thing. I can organize the streams better. They will always be on Saturday. That's just not changing. And yeah, I'm kind of worried that the 3960X is now not going to run 24/7. But you know, all for you. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the show. Go check out my blog. The link is right in the video, like here. There! So, damn, screw it. The freaking camera mirroring is a mess. Alright. I'm just gonna clean this up. Honestly, I think the Unigine run, when I was streaming last time, was better. So that's too unfortunate that I didn't know how to archive that one yet. But honestly, that one wasn't as funny as this one. Now that we know that there's interest in this, now that I know that there's interest in this, I'm glad to announce there will be more of these every Saturday at similar times. Hopefully every Saturday. I might not be able to do one next Saturday because of driving school and all that stuff. Sorry pointing you at the lights like that. It's kind of hard. The camera doesn't actually reach as high as me. I don't know. We're going over, like, clean up here. Wait, no, I don't want to pull these. Yeah, so read my blog. That helps me out a lot. Check me out on Facebook. There's a link to that on my blog. Follow me on Facebook. I post a ton of stuff on Facebook. Just completely tons of stuff. Photos. Mostly just photos. Basically, it's just teasers for everything I'm doing. So if you want to be constantly kept in suspense, waiting for the next stupid thing this man comes up with. Well, just follow me on Facebook. I don't do Twitter. Mostly because my Twitter account is like hooked up to, yeah, my real name and stuff. So, that's a bit of a pain. Yeah. And basically, yeah, and tell everybody. Tell your family, tell your kids, tell your mom, tell your grandmother, your grandmother. Tell everybody you freaking know about these streams, because the more people we get watching these, to give you an idea of how freaking hard it is to get a good overclocking stream going, the largest that I'm aware of is 1,000 viewers on one stream. So if we can break that, guys, we got something going here. And I promise to get the content crazier and crazier and crazier the more of you people turn up. I'm gonna probably get more and more out there as I get used to the whole streaming thing. Just buy it off of alza.cz, which would be, yeah, but alza.cz. If you just want to ship a 370K directly to me, then what you, look, go on my blog, drop a comment. No, actually, there was a whole thing with like supporting me on my blog, and then nobody went to the support page, and that just went out the freaking window. Mommy's over. Yeah, I buy everything from Alza, so I don't know how you guys want to do it with that 370K, but if they ship to the Czech Republic, then, you know, you can ship it to me. Or I'm going to figure out something about getting my address, though technically you have to ship it in like in August, because I'm not going to be here after August. I'm going to be in England, and I'll have a new address, and I'll get all that sorted. So actually that's going to be a big problem. I don't think I'm going to be putting out anything in September, because that's me moving into uni, and I'm so tired. I just unplugged this thing, which I just replugged. It's just a cable. It's like dying on my feet here. But anyways, thanks for being a freaking awesome crowd. We're not really a crowd, we're just a bunch of people staring at a box. Need a P.O. box. Yeah. But basically, if somebody wants to send that 370K, just, if you're on Reddit, get in touch with me on Reddit through private messaging, and I'll take care of it. Or Facebook somehow or something. Basically, it'll end up me giving you my email if you want to deal with the 370K shipping. I mean, you could even do it to the point where you just send me money to buy the 370K. But I don't know if you'd feel worse about that or something. I don't know. Though I could just give you my postage address. Though many times I've had people try to ship me. You're not a crowd if you're not all together. If you all went and like were in the same room and watched, then unless you have multiple personality disorder, then you're a crowd. Bloody hell. I don't know where to put this card now. So tired. Right, so, yeah, so the 370K shipping, just, I don't know, I'll solve it later. Just contact me, I'm available everywhere. Knowing Twitch users, you might be fat enough to be an entire crowd. What are those faces? I don't use Twitch that much, honestly. I don't find these kinds of streams, well, honestly, I've never seen a good stream yet. Like, there's the WAN show from Linus Touch Tips, but I just got so sick of Linus. It's like, you can make the terror bad jokes, I find them funny. I find the terror bad jokes funny. But the problem is when you say stuff that is straight up wrong. Like saying that AMD still doesn't support PCIe 3.0. It does. It's called Kaveri. And as a freaking reviewer, you should know that. And you shouldn't have to read a paper to know that. You should be able to just spout that off of the top of your head. Well, like, I'm probably like the worst guy, like the worst kind of person, because I know like everything about every freaking component there is. I go and like, to give you some idea of how bad I am with like picking components is like my friends are like, when I'm on Mumble, right, chatting with my friends, and I'm picking out RAM, they're like, you pick RAM like a woman picks shoes. So that gives you some idea of how terrible I am at choosing RAM. But I'm really happy with these ballistics. They work. The CPU, on the other hand, this seems like the CPU just gave up. Or the RAM gave up, or something gave up. Either way, by next stream, I should have it fixed, and I don't know. What do you people want to see next stream? Just tell me, quickly, what do you want to see next stream? Other than a 370k getting massacred. Ugh. RAM, I don't know. Typing out those massacre a GPU. See, I was thinking of doing live volt modding. I want to see two. No freaking no! Unless you buy the 370Ks, I'm not killing my own 370Ks. I might kill the 750K because it's basically half dead. Everything. You should do one. Outbench a GDDR5 one. See, I'll get in touch with Galax if they don't want to give me a GPU for that GPU thing. Set up a PayPal. You would donate. Overclocking RAM properly. I will buy if you advertise my subreddit. Sure, I'll advertise your subreddit. Where do you want it advertised? On my blog? Yeah, so let's get this all packed up. Whoa, this is all. So love you all, and oops, I need to really get like my head around functioning now. Yeah, tired. So what's the chat saying? PayPal. Okay, yeah, I'll get. Just like, is everybody here from Reddit? Hey. No, but hey, get a GDDR5 GPU and Outbench HBM GPU. If I get AMD to give me a Fury of any kind, I am going to make that Fury, well, try my very, very, very best to make that Fury run circles around a 980 Ti. Not the iffy diffy 1.2 gigahertz. I mean like 1.3 gigahertz. I mean like to the point where my Fury X is so freaking fast that it blows your freaking mind. Though I'd also need help from EK because I think the Fury X needs to be cold. Also, I don't think the Fury X, like, I really suspect the Fury X VRM is another case of AMD VRM syndrome, which is huge, monstrous, ultra-powerful VRM, but with absolutely no ripple suppression. Though I have yet to prove that even with the 290X because lack of funding. Can't buy an oscilloscope. Well, I could buy an oscilloscope, it would just suck too much for me to prove that. But basically, if I do get a Fury, I want to make a Fury so fast that'll blow your freaking mind. And more importantly, if I get a Fury, I'm going to overvolt the HBM, because a lot of people were like, oh, the Fury doesn't scale with core clocks. Well, then you know what it must scale with? It must scale with the bloody VRAM. Right? It's like, when your card doesn't scale with A, then it has to scale with B, because there's only two things your card can do faster. You can either overclock the entire core, and it'll linearly scale, or you can overclock the VRAM, and it'll linearly scale. And if one of them isn't scaling linearly, then you know that the other one is a problem. No, not cooling. No, VRM cooling doesn't matter. The Fury X VRM is a beast from hell that could run 125 degrees and still kick the ass of most NVIDIA VRMs. But the problem with the Fury X is the VRM is really noisy, is what I'm thinking, because the design is just a slightly bigger version of the R9 290X VRM, which is literally a 5-phase, and then the Fury is a 6-phase, and the inductors... Oh yeah, the Fury X VRM does have active cooling. Coil line doesn't really impact VRM quality. You know what? I'm just like, I'm getting a YouTube. I'm gonna make a video about everything, about freaking everything. You're gonna just like blow your mind. But No, noisy VRM, I mean the voltage coming out of the VRM. So if you set a VRM to produce 1.x volts, then what you're actually going to get is 1.x minus A, where A is less than the voltage you set, say 10 millivolts or 20 millivolts, and plus B, which again is like 10 to 20 millivolts. But basically it means whatever voltage you set, you can only overclock as the minimum of your noise, your power consumption is and your degradation is equivalent to the average voltage, which is ignoring the actual up and down. Yeah, look, the VRM thing, I'm just going to explain it somewhere else. You people keep me talking and talking and talking. This system isn't even running. This is an overclocking video. I'm just talking here. It's like stand-up overclocker interview. Look. Goodbye to all of you. You're great. You're awesome. Make sure that the next stream gets more viewers. Make sure my YouTube gets more viewers. My YouTube will be available through my blog. Everything will always go through my blog or my Facebook. You're guaranteed to get everything from me. What do you study? Computer engineering. No, but that is what I want to study, though technically speaking, it's computer... Well, it depends on which uni accepts me. One of them is computer engineering, and one of them is computer systems engineering. But let me put it this way, I already did a freaking, I did a big project where I studied, where I did my own research on power consumption versus clocks, voltage, and temperature in a CPU, and as part of that project, I basically read up on transistor, like how transistors freaking work, and how leakage works, and how everything about transistors works, and so, yeah, everything. No, it's computer systems engineering. It's like computer science went and had a kid with EE, which is computer engineering, except computer systems is more software oriented. Yeah. Jesus Christ, guys, I said well, it's 12. I said I'm going to end at 12. 6 more minutes to go. Cleaning up the system. You guys are still freaking awesome. You know what? I might do an after party where you can all just straight up talk to me directly in Mumble chat. Now, it'll be facilitated through a friend's server, and we'll figure something out how to deal with it. But for now, basically, you'll be able to have one-on-ones with me in chat somewhere. Well, actually, not even one-on-ones, just mass chat or something. I don't care. Just end. Finished video. Everybody leave. Turning off. No more chat messages. No after party now. You had 4 hours. 4 hours of stream. 4 hours of my life. Leave. Leave, damn it. I can see the view counter. You people aren't leaving. Or TS. Yeah, I know. It's like electrical engineering and computer engineering. Well, what I understood is computer engineering is like computer science with electrical engineering in a mix. My sister thinks you're hot. Why, thank you. Does she like computers? Also, leave, bloody hell! Leave! Shoo! It's creepy. You know, I don't think I'm a people person. I'm really shy in real life. You would never be able to get a word out of me. No, the view counter is going up, you people. Leave! Computer systems engineering is more software-oriented computer engineering. Oh, God. Why do people turn up? Just leave. Leave. Everybody go away. I'm going to start putting adverts on my videos. Those make people leave. Okay, goodbye. Stopping stream. I didn't want to end it. It just feels so weird to just sort of drop the stream. You'll never end otherwise. That's probably true. 3 more minutes. Well, Stopping stream. Final moments. There you